Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. Hope everybody is doing well. We got the latest Manchester United news, big updates surrounding Semenyo, other transfer targets as well. Ruben Neves coming back into play potentially for the midfield, amongst a bunch of other, really. I mean, it's been a massive day in terms of news. I think we've gotten literally everything. We've gotten updates about inside sources talking about the Glazers. There's been updates about Ruben Amorim and his system and preferred sort of formation, and Kobe Mainu updates, and Roy Keane speaking on Kobe Mainu now. So it is absolutely going to be a jam-packed show. Hope everybody is doing well. Please make sure you smash the like button before we get into it. We do got a poll running live. Make sure you get in the poll and vote as well. Would you buy Semenyo for £65 million in January? Yes or no? Very straightforward, very simple. And other than that, listen, if you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content, subscribe. We welcome you to the family. Come to the community. We're on our way, trying to get to 3,500 subscribers. So thank you for helping us with that. Make sure you share, you like, you do all the things. Help the channel grow. Help other Reds get in here. But enough of me sort of trying to sell the channel. Let's just go with what everybody is here for. And we're going to get straight into sort of the news. So today's going to be a bit of, we're going to have to jump around a little bit, but bear with me because it's a lot of news. I want to get through it so that we could just get to the actual discussion part of it instead of just reading news. So couple things that came out today. I'm going to run through a couple things. Get your thoughts and comments in the chat as I'm going along. I can't see the chat right now, but get in there and I will get to you guys once I hit this and sort of get running. But one of the updates started off with this, that a defensive reinforcement is a priority for Manchester United, and they may target a centre-back and a left wing-back under the age of 25. This came from Ben Jacobs earlier in the day. The next update that sort of went into that, which is kind of the same, but it's a little bit more with more sort of information, let's put it this way. Names that the club view as left wing-back targets include Estupiñán, Munoz, and Anthony Robinson. However, these may be seen as too old. As we just said, Man United may target under the age of 25. Guéhi is a market opportunity for all clubs. Upamecano is potentially free in the summer. And there is also Diomande, who Amorim knows well and could be cheaper in the summer. So just a few sort of names, positions being rounded out. Now, something that also goes into this is Manchester United are open to renewing Casemiro's contract. The player has put talks with other clubs on hold. This is coming from Graham Bailey, which is quite interesting because, I mean, I think we know that there's always been this thing for me. If Casemiro could stay, I think he would like to stay. And I think, obviously, I think Ruben rates his experience very highly. And I've always sort of said, listen, if it doesn't stop us, if he gets a very lower wage and it doesn't necessarily stop us from doing the transfer business we're doing and sort of moving to the future, and we play more games, I could see how it kind of fits if we keep him for another year or so as a squad player. But he's got to be a squad player. He can't be any more than that. We sort of need to move forward, and maybe it'll help the transition if we keep him for a year, since he's so experienced. And, he's been at United for a little bit, and also his whole career, or majority of career, is basically Real Madrid. So it's sort of a bit hard to replace. As we've seen, sometimes you could have some growing pains. I mean, Mbeumo started very hot. Cunha, while I still think he's going to come good, and he's been good at times, in terms of goals and assists, it's been a little bit low in that sort of area. So, you get two midfielders in. I think Ugarte's got to go. So I think, I don't think Ugarte's staying. Maybe Cass stays. He stays on as a squad player, and and we get back into all the competitions, and, we have plenty of room for, a 22, 25 man squad, and we can rotate properly. So, there is that. Now, quick update on this. This is sort of like a couple little pieces here and there. Then there's bigger picture things coming up. So, one of the things is that Roma are serious about a deal for Joshua Zirkzee, and they believe he wants the move. That's also coming from Ben Jacobs today. And then there's a few things on Kobe Mainu that we're gonna have to hit and talk about. Lucky's in here. Lucky, please don't spam. Get your comments in, but please don't spam. Having Mateus de Ligt back next to Aiden having very good access. Yes, I am here. Well, good for you to be here. Target Newcastle midfielder weakness. Well, we're not there yet. We got to play Villa first. Mateus de Ligt is looking more better now. Well, I hope he is. Because we need him. We need him back. Certainly. I mean, even Lenny's speaking about it, and Lenny was speaking on Mateus de Ligt and talking about how good he is and how comfortable it makes him to sort of play there. And we talked about this in the last match, how we kind of all felt that we were missing him. So there's a bug that classifies me as an unsubscriber and doesn't allow me to comment. I had to unsubscribe and resubscribe in order to comment. Now, please solve it. I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's anything to do with me about that. I mean, I'll look into it, but I don't think I can do anything about that. I think that's got to be YouTube. That's got to be YouTube. But thank you for letting me know, and I'll try and check it out. If there's anything I can do about it, I'll check it out after the show is over. I'll play around and see if there's anything about that. But I highly doubt that it's from our end. I'm pretty sure it's got to be from YouTube. So Lucky said breaking Galatasaray have opened negotiations with Manchester United availability of Manuel Ugarte. Well, we will get to that. There is a couple things that I do want to hit on first before we do that, and a couple of these things have to surround Kobe Mainu. So, a couple of the updates that we've received today is that Manchester United will only consider selling Kobe Mainu in January if they receive an exceptional offer. That's coming from Sky Sports Premier League. They reported that today. Now, if you're about to have a panic attack, Sky Sports then also reported and said Kobe Mainu remains a key part of Ruben Amorim's plans, and there is a widespread desire for him to stay at Manchester United, with the belief that he will only improve with age, which is kind of what I've been saying, because to me, it just is the most logical. It's the one that makes the most sense. And also, I'm not going to panic into anything and throw a fit and throw a rage until shit actually happens. And all we've ever been told is that United are not in Europe. We don't have a lot of games. We got kicked out of the Carabao Cup very early. And we just don't have a lot of competitions to do what we usually do, rotate and provide some extra opportunities. There's less players technically sort of injured, even though there is AFCON. I mean, if you combined it AFCON with everything else we'd be doing, there'd be so many chances and opportunities for so many players. But he asked for a loan before the summer. We didn't give it to him. He's still sort of looking for a loan. He has never, not once, asked for a permanent deal. Manchester United has never, not once, actually looked to sell him permanently. That line that if a significant, an exceptional offer comes in, they will consider it. They have been, to be fair to them, they have said this since they have come to this football club. They have said this for every player. And I think really it's just generally of no player can actually be deemed 100% untouchable. And also you have to do your due diligence as a football club in that if somebody gives you an offer, you might not be looking to sell this player specifically, but if somebody comes with something ridiculous, at the very least, you do have to contemplate it. You do. To just completely 100% ignore it, I think is foolish and dumb, and that's not proper operating. But then you obviously sit down with the people involved, you have the discussion, and you make a decision on what it is. And I think that's what they've been doing. So, all right, Axe, relax. So, Kobe remains a key part of Ruben Amorim's plans, and there's widespread desire for him to stay at Manchester United with the belief that he will only improve with age. He's gonna age like fine wine, they're saying. I think so too. Now, one of the sort of damning things, I guess, to come out was that Ben Jacobs has said this. Now, there was a bit of discussion, and the other day I tried to give Kobe Mainu a bit of, I guess, the benefit of the doubt, like I really do with everybody else. I mean, he didn't necessarily do it. His brother did it, his half-brother, whoever the hell he is. But, and, there's been a lot of things said about his half-brother and what the kind of person he is. I don't know the guy, but... I wasn't familiar with him before he pulled this stunt. But Ben Jacobs has said today that he believes that Kobe Mainu was speaking through his brother. He said, my understanding is that he knew about the t-shirts and wasn't against the messaging on it. Now, that is sort of an interesting development. Now, I would sort of still ask him, by what do you mean by your understanding? Like how you understand the situation to have developed? Or are you saying your understanding in that you have received some sort of, information behind the scenes that this is, what has actually transpired? Because I don't know. I could say my understanding is that I could say the opposite. I could say, well, my understanding is that he didn't know about the t-shirts and he was against the messaging on it. What does that really mean? I mean, to me, the way I'm viewing and understanding the situation, so my understanding of it is that he didn't know about the t-shirts. Now, he's saying, my understanding is that he knew about the t-shirts. Okay, but what is your understanding based off of? Is it your personal opinion? Is it you reading the situation of how it went down? Or did you get some type of in-the-know confirmation to some sort, a source close to Kobe, somebody that's mates with him, Kobe himself, his agent or something, his brother? He didn't really tell us that much. He didn't really tell us what that actually means. So I don't know. I mean, listen, I've heard a couple people put a good couple points. Like, listen, if you didn't really like that messaging and you really didn't know anything about it and it really bothered you, you could always come through your agent and sort of make a statement about it and say, well, I didn't know anything about it. I don't agree with this. I'm focused on Manchester United. This is all nonsense. And, I love this football club or whatever. Some generic, basic ass statement that sort of just distances yourself from that sort of thing. He hasn't done that, which leads some people to believe that he is okay with it and that he might have known about it before. I don't know. I think it's a coin toss in the air at this point. You can read it one way. You can read it the other way. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, who is your source, Lucky, about Manuel Ugarte? Axe says the this has been implemented by the admin. Can't do things like that, Axe. Stop it. Stop making wild act. The admin cannot do things like that. They cannot create a bug and make your shit all messed up. It's YouTube, dude. I don't know what's happening, but it's YouTube. Richard says, hold on, guys. I'm on my phone going to change the laptop. See you all shortly. Well, all right. We will be here. Mainu should have told him to be respectful and stop bullshit marketing campaigns. Well, listen, maybe it was sort of a win-win for both of them. I mean, this is the sort of things that you can kind of get into and I guess go down the rabbit hole in a sense. Maybe it's a win for Kobe, it's a win for him. His brother gets publicity, Kobe gets to send out a message without sending out a message directly, and he agrees with the messaging and he likes the messaging. I don't know, I'm being a bit hyperbolic, I'm being a bit like devil advocate here. We don't know. Nobody knows. I mean, unless Kobe comes out and says like, yeah, I told him to wear the shirt because I agree with it. I mean, what are we gonna know? I don't really like to bite into that whole Ben Jacobs thing because, again, the wording of it to me is, he says, my understanding. Well, your understanding can mean a few different things. Okay, this is why I have problem with these sorts of people sometimes, because you have a certain reputation, people listen to you, people like believe in your credibility, like they believe like, you have sources, you get news, you get information. When you put things out, people will believe it. And to me, he's not really clear on this. And, what does my understanding actually mean? Because it can mean a couple different things. And the fact that he didn't say that, he spoke to some sources in and around the club, or he's sort of confirmed that this is the thing. I'm still gonna be the one to say that I don't really buy this, because I think, again, the media and people are using this Kobe story as an opportunity to, like, they're just using an opportunity to get bigger, get more attention, and stuff like that, because it's huge and it's massive and it's blown up and it's all over the place and people are freaking out about it, right? And people are very, they're very extreme on it. There's people that are like, hating on Kobe. There's people that are supporting Kobe no matter what. There's people attacking Ruben because of it. There's, it's sort of a crazy, hot topic right now. So, I mean, somebody commented under this, and it was sort of the top comment under this post, and it said, if it's true and I am the manager, I will ask him in front of the entire squad to tell us the meaning of that utter shit nonsense. Listen, that's, maybe not a bad thing. Maybe not a bad thing. But, I mean, you would have to figure out if that is true. And maybe they haven't even spoken about it. In my opinion, as far as I think, I don't even think... One, Ruben might not know about it. If he does, I don't think they're even having a conversation about it. I don't even think, like, they give a shit that much as we do, as much as the fans are making it. I think as far as Ruben's concerned, as long as he's not doing anything else that's, like, sort of, like, out there and crazy, like making public statements on social media himself, and he's showing up to training, and he's still doing what he's doing in training and bringing the levels and trying his hardest and giving it his all, I don't think Ruben really gives a fuck about this right now. So, people on other channels say his brother went on Love Island. Yes, we talked about this the other day. What kind of people go to such a show? People that want fame. I mean, I'm not a fan of Love Island. Never watched it. To be quite honest, not to attack anybody's sort of not to directly insult anybody, but for me, those types of shows are I do consider them quite low IQ, and I don't watch them because I think they're very stupid and dumb, and they're scripted and they're not real, and I don't like that sort of stuff. So, Lucky says Ben Jacobs very good when Glazers looking to change transfer policy. Richard says, I'm back. I do not believe Kobe knew anything about his half brother. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I think if there is a real issue there, Richard, I think we'll start to see it pop up even more. In fact, actually, you know what I saw today? One of these other guys that has a decently large following, maybe he's got like a, 50,000, 100,000, something like that. This guy put up a picture of some other guy, I can't remember his name, wearing a Free Kobe Mano t-shirt. Apparently he's a somebody. And they then put in the picture of the post, I think his name is Andy something. They put up the thing where it says, Kobe Mano liked your story. And it was photoshopped. Okay? Like, it wasn't true. Kobe Mano didn't like the story. They photoshopped it and tried to get interaction, and this is what I'm talking about, and this is sort of why, the fan base is getting in a frenzy. I would like the football club to sort of get a fucking hold on this, because this is what sort of happens, and it gets out of hand, and people start making shit up for clicks and likes and interaction, and the bad thing is people will see that. And there are people out there that they won't know that it's fake. So now they think it's real. So now they're going out into the world thinking that Kobe Mano is agreeing with all of this and that he's actually pushing things socially wise. And now one of two things happens. They either get radicalized into fuck Kobe Mano and get him out of my football club, or they say fuck Ruben, free Kobe Mano, Are they half brothers? Yes, they are half brothers. Bro, I'm thinking INEOS said that they will back Amorim for 3 seasons. That means no matter where we finish, he will be backed. Well, Footy, I listen. I maybe possibility, but I think they sort of made that statement because I don't think that's really 100% the case. I think if I remember correctly, Sir Jim's actual words is that they believe that he needs 3 full years to fully show what he's capable of. But I also think along the lines of, I mean, if he doesn't come close to showing progression, if he can't get us back into Europe, I think ultimately then they have to really come down to make a decision of, have we moved forward enough? I think that was sort of more of a, I think it's partly true, but I think part of it was to sort of kick down the hype of he's going to get sacked. I think they were trying to give him sort of a public back of confidence. I think they were trying to sort of just stop the whole sacking thing. Because if you remember, it was like every day he's going to get sacked, he's going to get sacked. You know, right now, the people that want him sacked, they know he's not going to get sacked. Like, they can say Amorim out and they can say he should be sacked, but deep down, they know how it's running. They know he's not going to get sacked. So I don't think they obviously, to me, in my opinion, they can't do that. You know what I mean? They can't just be like, no matter what happens, because I think you can't really be like, no matter what happens. I mean, if he finishes in 15th again, he quite clearly obviously has to get sacked. They can't just be like, no matter what happens, he finished 15th again, he can't get sacked. But yeah, I think that they sort of did that to sort of, you know. And INEOS is going to back Amorim. That means he will get 2 center mids in the summer, no matter where we finish this season, because in the summer we might not get Semenyo. Well, I think regardless, and this is how I always try to view it. I mean, regardless of if Ruben is here or not, we still need midfielders. The club should be going and getting 2 new midfielders, whether Ruben's here, whether some other guy's here. We still need the midfielders. The midfielders have to come regardless. You know, this is the point I try to make. Regardless of the manager, this football club will always need to buy new players, get rid of players that aren't good, and keep that cycle going. It happens no matter what manager is here. So I don't think it really... It doesn't... It's not all 100% to Ruben. It's not all to 100% to Ruben. And... But they have to back the manager, whoever's here. They also need to continue to improve the club as it moves on. So my message is 3 parts. If possible, read them all. I think I missed the second one. So why not get Semenyo now by paying his release clause? We might not get him later. Well, that is sort of the thinking, and that is sort of the idea. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. So footy voice. We're going to get into that in a couple minutes. So yeah. I mean, that is sort of the thinking. That's sort of what I've been saying for the past few days, or not few days, few weeks, since we sort of been relinked to Semenyo. I've sort of been saying, listen, we know we need midfielder. Obviously, our main midfield targets, the big ones, the ones that are going to have the biggest impact, the ones that we believe are going to, you know, are the correct and top tier fits. They're all, as much as you want them, unless, you know, something surprises us. Maybe Baleba is one out of the rest, but I think it's been made very clear as things stand right now. Wharton, there's no chance. Elliot Anderson, there's no chance. Stillers seems like sort of a 4th choice, and not really a favorite right now. And Baleba is, you know, between 1 and 2 and 3. And if anybody's gonna come, it would be probably Baleba, because his head's sort of been turned. But then it all comes down to Brighton and their willingness to negotiate. So, yeah, a couple of the things here is like Ben Jacobs was talking about signing midfielders and said Ruben Amorim feels there's room for 2, one that's maybe more a defense 6 and one a bit more like Bruno Fernandes, that can be played deeper, but also can be tasked with getting box to box and having an attacking output while still winning the ball. And I agree with that as well. I think that's clearly what we need, clearly what we don't have. I mean, we do need a deeper one. And then obviously, it can't be, it's got to be somebody that's better than Bruno to what Bruno gives. Like, listen, Bruno in that position, Bruno does all, he has the biggest impacts when we get into the final third, when we're in the attacking phase or you know, the attacking transition. That's obviously, you know, where Bruno's playing right now, that's where all his impact is coming from. We've never gone through a match where we say Bruno had a brilliantly defensive performance. Did you see how he was winning all those balls and tackling the players? And, you know, but nobody has ever said that since he's been playing in this position. It's all of it is attacking output. So what you really need there is somebody that does a little bit less attacking output than Bruno does, because I don't think you can find somebody that has the same attacking output as him and then have this defensive qualities as, I don't know, a Casemiro or something. So you need a little bit less attacking output from that other midfielder, but one that is definitely more better at defending than Bruno Fernandes is. And I think that's quite clear, and we don't really have that, do we? And that's why we need it. So, you know, Ben Jacobs again saying that United will sign 2 experienced midfielders either in January or in summer, regardless if they get Semenyo or not. And we will get to Semenyo as well. By the way, because there's this talk about Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes apparently could leave Manchester United in the summer, says Ben Jacobs. He has a 65 million euro release clause. And there's a possibility he moves to Saudi after the World Cup. But we're a little bit all over the place here. I was trying to sort the sources out before, but where is my Semenyo update? So, I mean, couple things about Semenyo. We'll hit Semenyo since everybody wants to talk about Semenyo, and he's the hottest one, I guess. So United are absolutely in the race for Antoine Semenyo. United's hope, if they move on this, is that Semenyo will pick a single club, which would make everything relatively smooth. I mean, I don't like that. I mean, how typical of it is of Manchester United that we're like, please do us a favor and like, please just don't give us any hard time with competition and like, just pick us and like, you know, don't do this sort of back and forth. Like, you know, don't do this to us. I mean, that would be great if you know, everything in life was like that, you know? Like when I go for a job interview, wouldn't it be great if they just picked one single candidate, which was me, and they just made everything relatively smooth for me? I mean, how great would that be? How great would it be, you know, if I'm trying to like win over a girl or date her, and like I'm like, you know, just don't even like, you know, just pick me and don't entertain the other guys. Don't even like, you know, give them a chance or whatever. You know, just make it relatively smooth for myself, you know? Just do it for me. Like, come on. Like, dude, what are we talking about here? Like, he is a really good player, and there's going to be competition for him. Forget the relatively smooth part. Get in gear, lock in. Wilcox, Barada, Sajim, whoever else, Vavel, whatever, I don't know, whoever it is. Lock the fuck in. And start making shit happen. Start hammering away at it. Start attacking it. Don't be sitting there being like, well, you know, we hope that he picks us. He picks a single club, so it would make everything relatively smooth. I mean, you know, what kind of world are we living in nowadays? Where is... there's more Semenyo updates. I just gotta find them. They're out of order. So Manchester City and Man United have approached Bournemouth in the last 48 hours. This is from Fabrizio. To understand the terms of Semenyo's £65 million release clause, Spurs are also pushing for a move, but the final decision remains with Semenyo. Well, quite obviously, clearly. Thank you, Fabrizio. I mean, the first part was really good. The second part, obviously, I mean, no, I thought that the final decision remains to Manchester United. I thought the final decision remained to, I don't know, Phil Foden or something. I don't know. I was not aware that the final decision remains with Semenyo because he is the player and he gets to pick and choose what club he wants to go to. But anyway, I'm just being a bit of a sarcastic dick. But yeah, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like City are looking at this. Spurs are, I think, heavily interested in it. I think City nowadays, like City gets put into a lot of things, sort of like I think us, because they have the financial power to do it. They can go and buy sort of any player they want at any time, and they also still have like the pulling power of Pep as well. And also, with them being run properly, I would assume that you would at least be looking to, you would be looking into this. He's a good Premier League player. So I'm be surprised. But I sort of feel like right now, at this moment in time, I sort of feel like the most serious ones is us and Spurs. I kind of feel like. I don't know why. It's called a gut feeling, a little bit of intuition or something, but yeah, I just feel like it's us and Spurs. I think City thing is real, but I don't know if they're like 100% like sold or fully going in on it. Rajat says hi, he won't come. Well, how you know that? How you know that? How you know he won't come? Why won't he come? Explain yourself, Give us a little bit of context. Why won't he come? Because he chooses not to come to us. We're going to lose him out. We're not actually interested in him. What's your reasoning? Lucky says, I'm asking club sell Ugarte, then get starts with João Gomez or Conagello. Well, I don't know if João Gomez is coming anymore. I mean, he hasn't been talked about since the last time I heard was that Wolves wanted some 70 million for him or something like that, and United were like, nah, and that was the last time I heard about Joe Gomez. No, don't allow Bruno to leave January. Well, Bruno's not leaving in January. I don't think anybody's ever said that. Bruno Fernandes is not leaving in January. I think Bruno Fernandes is fully committed to at least being here for the entire season. He will then go and play a World Cup of Portugal, and then he will I guess, see about his future. But Bruno leaving in January, I don't think is happening. Not even if a club comes and pays his release clause, which I don't even know if it's active in January. But if it is, even if they pay it, I think Bruno will sort of reject it and be like, "Listen, come back for me in the summer. I'm not moving now. I'm in the middle of a season, so I don't think that's happening." Bruno Fernandes or Ugarte need to be sold straight away. Well, Bruno's not getting sold for sure. Not right now. Not until maybe the summer. Bruno isn't going anywhere. Ugarte might go because he seems a bit out of place and doesn't seem like it seems like his chances are getting slimmer and slimmer, so I could see how you can make an argument to get rid of Ugarte immediately, and maybe there's a club out there that needs a midfielder. I mean, we kind of are the same. We're a club that sort of needs a midfielder. We see how hard the market kind of is. So maybe we could move him out, but if we do that, we still need to be getting somebody else in. And that somebody is then going to have to be able to make sort of a big impact in terms of, you're replacing Ugarte, you need to be able to do more than Ugarte, and you need to also sort of hit the box of that, we actually need some help in that midfield. So, um, Well, I'm seeing something here that somebody's posted that I believe is credible. It's not really United news per se, but somebody that I follow that I think is really good, and they have a face and everything. But they just posted a thing saying, according to numerous well-placed sources outside the club, speaking on the condition of anonymity to protect relationships, there is a growing anticipation of this being Guardiola's last season at City. A firm decision will likely be made closer to the campaign finishing. I mean, on that, listen, I'll believe it when I see it, because they've been trying to say this for the past, couple years now, and this guy still stays here, so, when it actually happens, then I'll believe it. Other than that, I don't know. I feel like they're trying to do Sir Alex 2.0, where, he was going to retire that one time, and then he didn't, and then he ended up staying for another, 15 years or whatever it was. Yeah, let me get rid of some of these other sources. So we did all these stories. We did this story. We did this story. We did that story, and that story. This one. We didn't do this. We did this one. We didn't do that. We did this Semenyo one. This is Roy Keane speaking about Kobe. We did this Semenyo one. This is... okay. So, there was another Semenyo one that kind of popped up maybe about an hour ago before we left, but, before we went live. I don't know what I'm saying. Before we left. Before we went live. And when I find it, I will tell you what it is. And there is also an update on Ruben Neves, so I will get to that as well. But James Ducker in The Telegraph, who is a very credible journalist, James Ducker, and The Telegraph as well, he gave us this update about an hour ago, saying Manchester United will go all out to sign Antoine Semenyo in January and hope the uncertainty over Pep Guardiola's future could strengthen their hand. Well, I mean, see how that works? It wasn't really United related, but in a certain way, it still sort of circles back to United. So I just read that update that apparently there's an inside source saying this is Pep's last season, but there is uncertainty about that. And listen, I don't know. Things could sway our way. Maybe it could be swayed away from Manchester City. We've sort of seen these things in terms of, listen, you got a guy like Pep there. There's a lot of uncertainty. Could go wrong. Could go bad. Could not be great. Might not be the same. Pep's leaving. It's sort of maybe an end of an era. Maybe they continue it and they continue to do well. But maybe they have some growing pains along the way of replacing him. So, put some doubts into his head. Maybe he doesn't choose to go to City because Pep's leaving. Maybe they lie to him and say Pep's staying, and then he leaves. I don't know. Do you like Manchester United playing tiki-taka? I like Manchester United. I don't. They don't need to play tiki-taka. I want Manchester United to play attacking, confident football, score goals. That's it. I don't need United playing tiki-taka. I don't care. Possession, tiki-taka, counterattack. I don't care about it. I don't care. I just want United to win games, score a lot of goals, be confident, be strong in the way you play, and have an identity in the way you play. And ultimately win things with that. But, last night I was watching Sky Sports because I could get access to Sky Sports over here. And they were showing some old United games. There was one United game with Arsenal versus United. Arsenal were home and they beat us. I believe that was 90. I think it was in 98. From the 98 season, they beat us at Highbury. We lost 3-2. It was tied 2-2 up until about the 85th minute. And we got conceded on and we lost. Then they showed me the match that we went to go play Tottenham. And Gary Neville got a red card. And we ended up drawing that match against Tottenham 2-2. And this was in the season going for the treble. And then they skipped forward to the last match of the season where we played against Tottenham and we beat them. I believe it was 2-0. And, I was watching some of the football that we played because sometimes you need a bit of a reminder, yeah? And I was watching it and I was like, listen, that match against Arsenal where we lost, we were getting fucking dominated, and they had an excellent team, but we were getting fucking dominated against. We were getting destroyed. They were destroying us, and they beat us. Okay, but there was a lot of risk taking. To me, it was a bit sloppy. I mean, the football back then was a bit more sloppier. It's not as structured as it is now, but there's some good parts. There's some bad parts about it. It looks a little bit slower. The ball looks a little bit bigger and heavier, but you could see there was always the risk taking. There was always like 100% effort. There was always like, going hard into every tackle and trying to get to every ball and putting your body on the line. And, even if it's not your guy, even if it's, one of your teammates and they fucked up and you got to go and cover them, they're sprinting across the pitch to throw themselves in front of the ball to block the shot. And these are the sorts of things that I need to see in the team. These are the things that I need to see in the team for Manchester United team. Whether you do it in tiki-taka, whether you do it in counter-attack, I don't really care. I just at the end of the day, you need to score a bunch of goals. You need to be entertaining. You need to be strong in your identity, and then ultimately you got to go and you got to win things, and you need to compete at the highest level. But we also did get some updates. Let me hit this real quick. Ruben Neves has emerged as an option for Manchester United in the January transfer window, with the Portuguese midfielder keen on a return to the Premier League. Now, I'm not too thrilled about this because as far as I know, I'm pretty sure, isn't Ruben Neves like about 34 years old, yeah? So I think our name is being used, because I don't think we're actually looking at Ruben Neves in terms of like some sort of a permanent deal. And I don't think he's necessarily looking for a loan. So I think our name is being used because we need a midfielder. And I'm going to be honest, any smart agent that actually is doing the job of an agent, you would know that there is a giant midfield discussion about Manchester United. And if you need your guy to get a move, if your client wants a move and he wants to return to the Prem, well, what better than to hit up some journalists and say that, United are sort of looking at getting Ruben Neves, so that maybe like, I don't know, for example, maybe there's like a West Ham or a Fulham sort of panic and be like, well, fuck, we could really use him. We don't want to lose him out to United. Let's make a move. And then they sort of draw up their interest a lot quicker, and draw out some people. There might be some clubs out there will be like, well, if United look at him, maybe he is actually pretty good. Maybe we should think about it. So, I mean, he emerges as a surprise option for Manchester United, star available for £20 million in January window as he joins Ruben Amorim. The problem with this is that, again, for me, he doesn't fit the INEOS sort of thing that we're doing at this football club. There's no resale value on him. He's actually only 28 years of age, which is crazy because I thought he was like 34 by now. You know what? Listen, 28 ain't bad. 34 is no bueno. But 28, I mean, he's in his prime. So I got to stand a little bit corrected there. I was wrong about this. He was born in 97, March 13th. So he would be turning 29 after January. But he's really only 28. I thought he was like at least 32, 33. I thought he was way older than that. I mean, I don't know. Listen, he should be able. I mean, once upon a time, he played in the Premier League and he handled it quite well. He went to Saudi to go get paid like a bunch of other players. Can I really blame him on that aspect to go get paid? Not really, but I don't really like it because I think, go do that later on at the back end of your career when it's sort of over. They're still going to pay you like a decently good amount of money. I don't really like these guys going there at 24 and 25 because it ain't competitive, and they can say it's growing and they can say whatever they want. But for me, if competition is your ultimate goal and you want to be known as the best and the greatest and you want to like compete at the highest level and sort of go down in that history, if that's your main focus and 100% goal, well, the Premier League is obviously the best place to do it always and forever. So, there are players like Bernardo Silva who has been here for quite some time now. They're still sticking around. He's still at that age, and maybe he'll go, but he'll be old. That guy that left Villa, I forgot his name by now, Duran, leaving at that age from Villa to go to there, the Villa needed the money, but and they definitely were always going to take the money, but you were getting hot. You were like sort of this new potential, maybe a star of the Premier League. You were like, looking like this sort of next hot player. And he got into Saudi, and guess what? Nobody fucking knows a thing about you. Nobody knows anything about you. His levels have probably dropped because it ain't the same as the Prem. You ain't going to have opportunities to play in the Champions League. Listen, you want to go get paid. But for me, I respect a little bit more of the fact of high level of competition. But Ruben Neves here. And there's a couple more updates on Ruben Neves. Why did it do that to me? No. So there's a couple updates that go into this. Ruben Neves has emerged as an option for United in the January transfer window. Neves is keen on a return to the Premier League, and Al Hilal are prepared to let him go for around £20 million next month. That's from Chris Wheeler, reporting that. Also, the Daily Telegraph is reporting this as well. So, I don't know how I really feel about that. Listen, 20 million, 28-year-old, maybe that's the sort of thing that I was asking for previously. I was sort of saying that, listen, there's got to be a guy out there that you could possibly get that's not going to cost you a lot, that's not going to, completely destroy the budget. It's not going to stop you from getting 2 midfielders. And it could very well be Ruben Neves. 28 years old. It's not like he's majorly old. He could still give you probably a good 4 years. I don't know how he is now because, again, he's been in the Saudi Pro League, and I don't watch the Saudi Pro League. The only thing is that, listen, if he's still good enough and he can compete in the Prem, then I wouldn't necessarily be against it. If we were to do a deal or something, if we were to do something like, you get this guy, bring him in to help the midfield, and then you do a deal like Antoine Semenyo, I'm sort of a happy camper with January. Because we could always end up getting nothing. You could also, I think there's probably a couple players that you could do worse than maybe Neves for the price. The price is cheap, so it makes it sort of worthwhile, I think, at the very least. And also the options are limited, so, I would probably still prefer Conor Gallagher on loan to Ruben Neves, but I have to be honest, my opinion on him is quite limited because I don't know what level he's at now that he's been in the Saudi Pro League, so I don't know if he's good or not. I don't watch it, so I can't tell you. I don't know how he is. But that's up for our people in charge of the football club to determine. That's up to them. They got to be the ones to make this determination. This is their job. Is he good enough? Does he fit? Will it improve us? Will it give us a helping hand? Or is there somebody else out there that's a better option that we should be going forward looking at? So, I'm going to have to trust him on that. Andy Mitten also coming out. So all the journalists are coming out today. He said on some signings, he said there's 3 or 4 more players that United were looking at in those positions. Besides Anderson, besides Warren, besides Baleba, United will get one of the players. I stand by what I said about Elliot Anderson, but Manchester City want him and could probably offer him more money than United and Champions League football. So whoever United sign, there needs to be a repeat of what happened with Cunha and Mbeumo, who actively wanted to join Manchester United because they were miles bigger than someone like Manchester City. All the clubs are going to go back for the same players because the number 6 is a key role, and there's not many players proven in the Premier League. In doing it, United would be a suitor, but these players have other options. There are other names that haven't got out there who Manchester United are looking at, and this is why I always said it's very important, in fact, that we have to have the best season possible. So for me, again, if you want the best shot at getting an Elliot Anderson, maybe not a Carlos Baleba, because it seems like he really likes us and he sort of fits into the Cunha aspect. But if you want a Wharton, if you want an Anderson, if you want United to have the best chance, well, the best chance that we got is for us to do business in January, add players to the current squad we have, the quality and talent, and give us a better percentage or better shot at finishing as high as possible. Because if you get 1, 2 signings, 3 signings, of a certain level, if you do that, then it could make the difference. What if that makes the difference if United actually finish in the top 4 spot or 5 and you actually get Champions League out of that? That's going to be massive. That's huge. That would be huge for us. That would be huge for the summer. That would put us back on a higher level than we actually are now when you compare us to like sort of the the rivals. Because again, all these other teams, they might be like, well, United's massive and we like them, but these other teams have been doing better in recent time, and they can give me Champions League and I want to play Champions League, and United can't do that. And there was a couple players that we didn't get or we couldn't go for solely for the fact that we weren't even in Europe, so we couldn't offer it to them. And, we were a bit fortunate with players like Cunha and Mbeumo that they were willing to come without that. But why would you want to be in that situation? Why would you want to sort of be doing that? Why wouldn't you want, for the club to be in the best possible, position? A couple other ththings James Ducker has dropped in today, saying that Ruben Amorim adapted his preferred 3-4-2-1 formation against Bournemouth to a fluid 4-4-2 at times, and he is expected to utilize a back 4 over the coming weeks as he deals with the loss of some important players. Well, he did do that. And people were really happy about it. And I think this change was always going to come. Because, again, you look at his system, you look how, the 3-4-2-1 that we play. You look at the system, you look at the players that we have for the positions, you look at the players we lost, and then you look at the rest of the squad. We're still saying that, like, we need more players in terms of we need more midfielders for the system to work better and be more complete and actually be, like, its strongest level and strongest position. And we just lost 3 major players from it. And we don't have replacements for it. So, again, this is why I always said, like, I don't think Ruben is that stubborn. I think he can be stubborn at times, but being stubborn is not always a bad thing. It could be good. You are convicted in your laurels in a certain way. And matter of fact, Sir Alex Ferguson was a guy that was stubborn in his ways. There's many examples of that. So it's not a bad trait necessarily always, and it could be a good thing. Sir Alex was stubborn in the way he wanted to play. Sir Alex was stubborn to the fact of, if you ever heard Wayne Rooney tell the story when we went to go play Barcelona in the Champions League final, and he said and told all the United players that we're going to play our way, and we're going to play the way we play, which is high up and pushed up, and the typical Sir Alex way. And, the players were like, what are you, nuts? We're going to get destroyed. And so Alex, I don't give a fuck. Now, ultimately, we ended up losing, didn't we? But, he also won many things with that. So, but yeah, I think, this formation change was always going to come. It has to come. Now, Box was one of our community members, was in the Discord and was sort of gave us like a preview to a lineup that possibly could happen. And this is like, what I was sort of alluding to, because everybody thought that it was sort of going to happen last match, this 4-3-3. I mean, I don't know if it's going to ever really be a 4-3-3. I mean, it was more like a 4-4-2. He's definitely going to have to play some sort of a 4 back. But this 4-3-3 nonsense that everybody seems to have some sort of addiction to or about, yeah, I don't know if it'll necessarily be a 4-3-3. It can't really be a 4-3-3 in terms of wide wingers because we don't have wingers. So a 4-3-3 wouldn't make sense. Like now, especially because we just literally lost the only 2 actual natural wingers we have, which is Mbeumo and Diallo. We don't have, and we don't have, there's no other wingers at the football club. So, something like this, it could look like this. Lemons, then Delo, Yoro, Martinez, Shaw as a back line. Although, I don't know, because of those comments he made on Shaw last time, I don't know if he would like to play Shaw in a left back, but maybe he does. And this is more specifically for Villa because there is no Casemiro. He's been suspended. So you got Delo, Yoro, Martinez, Shaw, Ugarte, Meno, then Bruno in front of them. Then you have Cunha, Mount, and Sesko. So it would be narrow. You could do it. I sort of jokingly told him, and I was like, listen, I'm a Twitter tactico, since my tactic and then ball knowledge is so beyond and superior to the entire planet. That's actually a 4-2-1-2-1, 4-2-1-2-1. Good sir. Elite formation. It's unbeatable in my FM 26 save. Because it has to be something narrow. It can't be with wingers. I mean, it can be with wingers if he so chooses to, but it doesn't really make sense with wingers, right? So it has to be something narrow. And again, people get fussed over the numbers. I mean, you can literally have anything play the way you want. It could technically even be a 4-4-2, like on paper, but the way it plays, it could literally play like a 4-2-3-1, a 4-3-1-2. There's so many things with tactics. This is why these people, these online morons, these tacticos, like they don't know anything. They really don't know anything. They think they know it all, and they're just spewing shit, like they usually do most of the time anyway. So, there's a couple more things that we need to cover as well. And I need to pull them back up. I don't know where they went. They disappeared on me. Yeah, we got that. Yeah, somebody's saying again that like the reports are suggesting that like that Kobe was speaking through his brother and he knew about the T-shirt and endorsed the message. Reports suggest this is a lie. It seems like a lie. So well, but, maybe not a lie, but maybe just incorrect or false. Again, this whole thing, Ben Jacobs, the way he said it, it's just like, he said, my understanding. Well, my understanding is that, I don't know. My understanding is that you eat rocks for breakfast, What does that mean, your understanding? Is it your opinion? Is it what you think? Or are you getting inside sort of, and this is why I don't like these guys being so vague. You go in the United Stand, you go in the channel that has plus 2 million subscribers, the biggest fan channel out there that gets the most views, that gets the most, eyes and ears in the United fan base, and it's going to have an impact. And you go on this show and you make a statement like that, I think is like, it's just so fucking irresponsible. It's so like, first of all, your name is attached to it, so have some self-decency and actually set the fucking record straight. Don't be like buying into this bullshit that you're doing. You're going on the United Stand and now you're saying things that are half-assed, because that's a half-assed sort of statement, because you can interpret that probably 3 to 4 different ways. And, I try not to be so cynical about these people, but that sort of makes me feel like he went on there and he knew exactly what he was doing. Because I think he's sort of a smart guy. I don't think he's stupid. So I think he kind of knew what he was doing in terms of he sort of made it in a way where it's going to be interpreted probably a couple different ways, and it's going to be misinterpreted on purpose, and it's going to cause more of a, online response in terms of when they put it on their socials and when they put out the video or the clip of it and people listen to it, and it's going to get people sort of riled up and pissed and get them to comment, because that's all social media and the internet is. No, these people don't care if they're being truthful. They don't care if they're delivering you the facts. They don't care if they're being honest or they have real actual opinions. Most of them are saying shit just because they want people to type and hit enter and respond, because that's what feeds the algorithm. So they don't care if they don't care if you hate them, they don't care if you like them, they don't care if you think they're truthful or you think they're dishonest. All they want you to do is either piss you off or excite you so much that you feel the need to type out a response, which just gets them exactly what they want. So yeah, that really pisses me off. These people do this thing because it's like you have a responsibility. You have the platform you're on. You have a responsibility to not do that to people, to not feed into the shit that's already sort of the circus of United, and you do it anyway for just whatever selfish interests, whatever it is. Like you don't already have enough sort of eyes and views and interaction. You need more of it. You need more of it. Greedy motherfuckers. They are greedy motherfuckers. Now, apparently, no, I thought that was news. It's not news. There was a couple more things, but where did they go? Okay, I got them here. So there was a couple things. Number one, let's hit these the way we need to hit them. People familiar with Ruben Amorim insist he has no preconceived reluctance to promote young players. Far from it. As at United, Sporting's DNA is all about developing and trusting youth, says Philippe Silikaya, who collaborated closely with Ruben Amorim at Sporting as a B-team coach and within the academy. He went on to say, I don't understand the concerns in Manchester about Ruben. If the talent is evident, he'll give them opportunities. Once players grasp that every training session is their platform to prove they're ready, they'll break through. And I just want to say to this guy, thank you so much, because there's somebody that actually understands some sort of common sense. And unfortunately, this fan base is filled with too many people that have lost their fucking heads and their minds and their brains. And I think they live in a fantasy land and they're not willing to accept reality that I understand the youth is important at this club, but where the fuck has it been? Since 92, where has it really been? What have we actually produced that was top tier since 92? Where has it been and what has it done? We had the golden generation. That was that. And then after that, we had some here and there, and some of them were decently average, okay, maybe good, but not to that level. And since Sir Alex Ferguson left, it's all been gone, because the Glazers ripped up everything he did and threw out the whole blueprint and went down the commercialism route. So I've always said this. I knew of the guy. I watched the Portuguese league. I know the fucking story of this man, of what he went through. I know Sporting as a football club. I don't care if it's the Portuguese league and this is the Premier. I don't give a shit. The identity of Sporting is very similar to Manchester United's in terms of the youth. They like to produce youth. They believe in youth. They give youth opportunities. They grow youth. Youth has been part of their football club for a while. And when Ruben was there, he did use the youth. He didn't use them immediately. It took time. And when whoever was good enough, he did call them through. That's how a fucking 17-year-old ended up in his starting team over players that were, I don't know, 28, 29, 30. That were deemed stars of the club. And he threw them out or threw them to the bench and played a 17-year-old Giovanni Quenda over them. Because Giovanni Quenda was a top talent. He went into training and he proved it. And then he was given the opportunity to do so. And he took his chance. So, this is how football goes. It's how football should be. And I think there's too many people in this fan base that are overreacting about it. And I will say, if we get to see the full plan actually develop, I think you will end up seeing some of these youth guys. But also, we need to continue to, get in more youth, and then they need to grow and develop at the levels that they should be. We have somebody like Kai Rooney that's down there. I mean, he's not old enough really to come in, but he's getting there maybe in the next couple of years. But there are players there. And I think they will get their opportunities sooner rather than later, as long as that they just continue to put in the work. I mean, even for somebody like Kobe Mainu, and sort of to go hand in hand with that update is that, Ruben Amorim, signaling out Kobe Mainu, Harry Almas, and Cheetah Obi, was perhaps ill-advised, but they admitted his overall point that many of the youngsters were not good enough for the first team yet is a view shared by others behind the scenes. Throwing them into the starting XI for the sake of it would only be to satisfy tradition, which is literally what I've been saying the whole time. Nobody wants to admit that these kids ain't ready yet. They ain't good enough yet. They're not good enough. Accept it. You are wrong. You're not a professional coach. You don't train them. You don't have the badges. You're not involved with Manchester United. You don't see them showing up to training. You don't see them doing anything besides maybe playing a game. And the guys that watch the under 21s and 18s and they watch the full matches, maybe they're a little bit more informed than some of the others. So I'll sort of exclude them out of that. But again, you still don't see the whole process of what they're doing in training. You don't see how they're holding up. When they get called up to first team training, how are they looking in there? Are they weak? Do they look far off of it? Are they holding their own against the likes of people like Casemiro and some others? Or are they fucking struggling against these senior players? Because you know what? If we're not that good, if we're not the top pinnacle, or maybe we're just average, like the rest of the league, like average to the rest of the league. So average to the average of the league. Okay. And you're bringing in a kid and you pull him into training. This is training. This isn't a competitive game. It's training. And you put him into training and he's struggling to hold his own in training against our senior pros. You think he's going to do well against the team when we go into a competitive match for 3 points? You don't think that kid's not going to probably more than likely drown in that match? You don't think he's going to absolutely struggle? This is the whole thing. These people have lost their fucking mind. They don't know what they're talking about. Okay, they think they know more than the manager. They think they know better than all these people that are involved, that are professionals, that have their badges, that are in the thing, watching it happen live. You don't. But everybody wants to be right, and everybody wants to be a genius in today's time, and everybody knows more than everybody, and everybody knows more than the experts, and everybody knows whatever. Like, you can have an opinion, but to be 100% convicted in the fact that you think you know more than them, and that you would do a better job than them, I tell you now, get your VR goggles on, or get in the pod and go into your fantasy land, because that's clearly where you want to live. That's where you want to be, because that's where you're trying to be right now. You're not in real life. You're operating in fantasy land. Okay, so go get the VR headset from Meta and just put that on, never take it off, and, you know, go be the manager of Manchester United and run it up. Run it up. Axe says, bro, I got relegated. And you get really, how'd you do that, Axe? All right, Axe, let's break it down. Let's break it down. What system were you playing? What formation were you playing? I did that and got relegated. What do you mean you did that? Did what and got relegated? You put on your VR headset and you got relegated? I would imagine, listen, it's okay if you think that they're not doing something right. But there's a certain line, bro. There's a certain line that people cross that they truly do believe that they're way smarter and way better than these guys. And it's like, dude, if you actually stop and think about it, think about the fucking pressure at this job. Just think about showing up to a match with 76,000 people in the stadium. Think about every decision you make. You have to fucking get it on the money because you really can't afford to fuck up because there's so much pressure. Because it's not even in the stadium; it's worldwide, man. You make the wrong call, you don't get that win, you don't get that 3 points. Everybody's coming for your neck, and you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of millions of people, and hundreds of millions of people are screwing up. Imagine the job you work in. Imagine all these people fucking standing over you watching you do your job. And that people don't even do your job. And then they're criticizing and critiquing you while you're doing the job, and you know that they don't even do the job that you do. It's called DLS football. I play 4-3, got relegated to the 6th. Damn. Playing on my smartphone. I was unsubscribed on here also. Yeah, I don't know why that's happening. So I mean, I'll check into it when I end the show. But yeah, I mean, listen, for me, again, this is what I've been saying. I love Kobe. I think he has a future at this club. I like Harry Amos. I think he has a future at this club. I think, you know, Cheeto is one that I hope he has one. I don't know. I'm not like, I think he still is, he's got a little bit further more to go in terms of development, and he's got to take a few more steps before I can really sort of make a bigger determination on him. But I hope he has a future at this club. I hope every one of these guys can sort of come through. I know that all of them can't because it's impossible. It's just statistically impossible. It just doesn't happen. You know, some of them just won't make it here. Some of them just aren't good enough. But I've always believed that, you know, in a process for the youth, I think there's certain levels you got to hit. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And also, sometimes there are setbacks. Like, I think right now, Kobe is having a bit of a setback with him. But I don't think that means that it's the end of the world. If it's a one bad year, 1 year off, listen, if you have a bad year in your life, is it the end of your life? No, it's just a shitty fucking year, man. And then, you know what? Like, things will change, or, you know, maybe a different opportunity opens up, and the next year could be really great. And you look back and you go, last year was fucking sucked. The year before was great. Last year sucked. And this year is better. And thankfully it is better. So, you know, that's one of these things. One of these other things is that Rob Dawson said that, you know, what some Manchester United players and their families fail to grasp is that fans will never side with individuals over the club if they believe standards haven't been met. It doesn't matter if you're a superstar or an academy graduate, the club always comes first. That should always be 110% the mentality and attitude. Unfortunately, I have to disagree a bit with Mr. Rob Dawson, ESPN, because online, there's too many people with too many opinions, and this has sort of created a group, a section, pockets, whatever you want to call it, where there will be a bunch of people that, like me, like myself, that truly believe that I will never side with an individual player, even if they are my favorite player. Ultimately, it depends what happens and how the actions go. And until you, you know, even until like, if you're a proven winner, if you've won us trophies, but you do something really fucked up because you had a disagreement with the club or the manager, and you step out of that line, to me, that's it. You're done. You're done. You know, you're done. I don't play these games with this bullshit. Okay, there is a hierarchy for a reason. I believe in the hierarchy because I believe that is the proper standards. You know, we talk a lot about standards here at this football club. Well, I believe that that hierarchy needs to be followed to have proper standards. And if we don't follow that hierarchy, then we don't have fucking standards at the basic level. We don't. We don't. You know, Ferguson, if you love Ferguson and you believe in Ferguson and you believe in his sort of thing, he lived by those standards. He said that shit I don't know how many times about how players cannot have more power than the manager, and if that ever happens, it's the end. And we've experienced that so many times since he's left. And I think it's one of the sicknesses. I think it's one of the illnesses of this club. And if this club is going to be great again, if this club is going to be strong, if this club is going to succeed, if this club is going to be the pinnacle of football once again, well, I tell you what, we're not going to do it if players are part of the club, or there's a culture, or there's a mentality in this football club at any level, whether it's in the fan base or in the players or from the owners, that believe that players have the right to go above, attack, or at the manager, supersede the manager, or anybody else. And for me, especially with these guys, because I might like some of them, but I'm sorry. I mean, you don't even, in my opinion, none of them have an argument, because you've never won us the Premier League. You've never won us the Champions League, and you failed this many times, okay? So you definitely have 0% of pull for me, you know? Like, if it was like Roy Keane with Fergie, I'd be a bit torn, but ultimately, I'm obviously going to choose the manager. Even though I love Roy Keane, I think he was one of our greatest captains ever, and he was a fantastic player. And maybe Fergie was in the wrong, and Ferguson was in the wrong, and Roy Keane was in the right. Sorry, but like, you can't just make an exception for any guy. The hierarchy is there; it's got to stay there. So, Richard says, Eric, I have my friend in with me. He is an Arsenal supporter. Say hello to him and his baby dog, Molly. Well, hello, Richard's Arsenal supporter friend. How you doing? And hello to Molly, the dog. Hope you guys are good and everything as well. I got a couple friends that are Arsenal friends. I think I got too many friends that are Arsenal friends, unfortunately. Listen, they were already Arsenal fans when I met them, so nothing I could do about it, you know. I didn't grow up with them from such a young age. I met them, they were already Arsenal fans. But I'll be quite honest, they're good people. They're good people. They're good people, like in general in life. They're good people, good guys. Listen, we have some big arguments, some of them. You know what I find interesting about Arsenal fans, actually? Quite the wide range of how they are. There are some that are super, and my own friends included, they are super annoying. Super annoying. Like, I'm talking about super annoying in the fact of that we will literally be at a table at dinner having a conversation that has nothing to do with football, nothing with Arsenal, nothing with United. We'll be talking about, you know, the beach or something. And this guy sitting next to me will literally just out of nowhere, he'll just be like, Arsenal. And I'm just like, dude, shut up. Shut up. And then my other friend that's an Arsenal fan, he's not like that. He's like the total opposite. Like, you know, we'll have like a real discussion, and he like, dude, he's just like, and I'm just like, dude, I don't know. It's the Arsenal thing is really funny. really funny. But I usually have generally good experiences with them. Now, some of my other friends are United fans, or are United fans, and they hate Arsenal. They hate Arsenal. I sort of see Arsenal as like they're sort of like a brother in a way. I sort of see them as like a little brother because of my upbringing and the era that I went through in terms of that. You know, once I started to actually be able to follow football properly, I mean, we were always sort of getting the best of Arsenal. So I always see them sort of as a little brother. Right now, they're doing better than us, of course. But, yeah, I sort of look at them, you know, to me, Liverpool is the biggest bastards of them all. And I hate their football club. And I will have a fire debate with any of them any day, but yeah. Get them out, they crap. Get who out? Well, here's the thing. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about Kobe. Okay? Back to Kobe, because Roy Keane had some things to say. And this is where I sort of fit into this, because I agree with Roy Keane more than I agree with Paul Scholes, and I don't always agree with Roy Keane on a lot of shit that he said, and I don't agree with Scholes on a lot of things he said, because that's just who I am. I'll agree with you on some things, I won't agree on other things. That's just how I am. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your status is, what you really done. Sometimes you say things and I'll agree with them. Sometimes I don't, and that's just how life is. I don't need to, lick the boot of every single person. Doesn't mean I hate them, but Roy Keane was on the overlap, and he was speaking about Kobe's half brother and saying when he's got this idiot of his brother doing all that stuff, we shouldn't even be giving his brother the time of day. I agree, but this is what he's done for. He also said, because sometimes you're just surrounded by idiots, especially in families. But you come in after the match and your brother did that. If my brother even done that, you would be looking at him going, what are you doing? You would, and do you know what? Do you think his brother's done that without asking him? He's under contract, probably been paid a decent wage. I don't know how I feel about that, man. What does he mean by the last part, though? Because do you think his brother's done that without asking him? He's under contract, probably been paid a decent wage. But who's he talking? He's talking about Kobe there, because I'm a bit confused there. I don't think. I mean, he is under contract. He's getting paid a lower wage, in my opinion, than he probably should be. But I agree to the point of that last part confused me, but what I can definitely say I agree with is that, listen, this is his half brother, sort of been born to it. If his half brother's a jackass and an idiot, I mean, there's only so much you can do about it as Kobe Mano. I sort of pointed that out the other day, whether if he didn't know about it, and I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt that Kobe didn't collaborate with his brother to do this sort of publicity stunt type of thing. And if he didn't, and he's done this on his own, there's only so much Kobe can kind of do about it. I mean, if Kobe's getting him tickets, then obviously you can stop getting him tickets if he stops to do it. But really, all Kobe can really do is be like, why did you do that? Don't do it again. You're fucking shit up. You're making things worse. Stop. But if he continues to do things, there's only so much Kobe can do. You know what I mean? There's only so much Kobe can do. The guy is his own human being, and if he's a selfish prick, he's obviously not going to care what Kobe says to him. He's going to do what he wants. But if he's getting things from Kobe, if he's getting access, if he's getting money, if he's getting, I don't know, whatever. Maybe Kobe keeps him sort of in the fringes of the entourage or something like that. Maybe he's trying to get things out of Kobe. Maybe he's trying to use Kobe for his name and his fame and shit like that, because that's sort of the story I heard. His last name is different. He didn't have Mano in his last name before Kobe Mano became Kobe Mano at Manchester United and known, and then he added it in after, hyphened and stuff like that. So, Access, come on, the dude goes to Love Island. I guess you can find that guy on OnlyFans. Well, I don't know about it. I don't know about that, and I ain't gonna know about that. I don't know. Listen, if he's on OnlyFans, he's on OnlyFans. I'm not gonna find out about that. I don't want to know nothing about him being on OnlyFans. But yeah. I mean, listen, there's a thing that like I don't know much about him. He does seem like a guy that he's obviously looking for attention. You know what I mean? He sort of seems like one of those. To put it, since I'm American, I will put it as the British say, or the English, a bellend. I think I've gotten that right. Because I seen somebody call him that. There was actually somebody took that picture of him with the shirt, and the AI replaced it. Instead of say free Kobe Mano, it said free Bellend. Which means like they were trying to say like not Kobe is a bellend, but that his brother is a bellend. So yeah. I like the British like sort of slang or I guess curse words or bad words or whatever, because they have a meaning to them, and some of them are bad, but they don't sound anywhere as, they have a certain ring to it. And then they also don't sound as bad as some of the ones of the slang that we have in America. Like, it just doesn't. They roll off the tongue better. It sounds. It just sort of hits better. You know. It does. It does. I got a couple of English friends as well, so they're always using that shit on me and around me. So I pick up a few words here and there. But yeah, it's good stuff. To continue with Roy Keane, though, because I did get a bit sidetracked here. Roy Keane went on to say, Manu only started against Grimsby, ? And how did that go? And then continued to say, sometimes it's the only chance you get, so you have to seize it. Were they all rubbish that night? ? In that case, you make sure to be good, because it's easy to be good in a bad team. And this was sort of, you know, my opinion, my thoughts on this whole thing. You know, he only started against Grimsby, and he didn't play very good in that game either, and neither did the rest of the team. But I've sort of been hitting on this, like, listen, I've been saying I want you to fight. I want you to keep fighting. Keep fighting. I think you can break into here. You can get past this point. You can. You got to keep putting in the work. You shouldn't give up. You shouldn't stop. He hasn't kicked you fully out of the team, so he's not fully given up on you, and he's not agreed to sell you. So there is something there to fight for, but it's up to you. You can bitch and moan and say, well, he hasn't picked me, and everything I've done, you know, I'm still not getting the opportunity that I feel like I deserve, so that's it. It's over. Or you could just keep putting in the work, because good things are really hard to get by. Otherwise, everybody would have all good things, and it would be really easy, and they would be worth nothing. You know, and there are certain things, like I've been saying, like, dude, you get 20 minutes, you get 25 minutes, you get 15 minutes. You got to make those minutes count. It might be bullshit that you only get 15 minutes. Guess what? You got to go take that opportunity, dude. You got to try and make shit happen. I've done it. I'm not a professional. I'm not on a professional level, but I've done almost everything in the time that I played this game. I was a starter. I used to be a sub. You know, sometimes I'd get 10 minutes. Sometimes I get 5 minutes. Sometimes I've not been played. Sometimes I get, I get 45 minutes. Sometimes I'm starting matches and I'm getting majority of the game time, because obviously at the non-professional level, you can sub in, sub out as much as you want. So you get subbed in, sub out. But, you know, like, it's like when I played high school, okay, and my coach for my high school team, he was a jackass, okay? Because this guy didn't know anything about football. He's like he's almost like a Glazer 2.0, you know? Like, he barely knows anything about the sport. It wasn't his first sport. He was a lacrosse guy, okay? He was a lacrosse guy that coached the soccer team and the football team. I said soccer. The American came out of me. But, yeah, he coached this team. You know, this guy, like, almost didn't put me on the team. Meanwhile, I've played at almost every level. I played in the top tier division. I played in the low tier division. I played in mid tier divisions. I've done it all. Okay, I played in almost everything. I have fucking trophies that are still upstairs from when I was a child and younger and a kid. I have trophies, first place, second place trophies, even though, we should probably throw those out because only the first ones count. But the point that I'm trying to get to is, this guy almost didn't put me on the team. And because I saw the list, I went into his office and he had a list of 5 people that he was thinking about and he didn't know if they should go on. I played this sport my entire life. That I was actually pretty decently good. I wasn't the best, but I was decently good. And he almost didn't put me on the team. And so when I saw that, he kept me on the team because my friend that was the captain made a case for me and was like, listen, it would be a mistake. He actually plays and he's actually good. And, whatever your reason is for not wanting him, he might be small or something like that because I'm a shorter player. But he was like, it would be a mistake to not have him on there. So he kept me on. This guy only would put me in for 2 minutes in a match. And you can sub in and out. And the first year, he put me in for 2 minutes. 2. And you can sub in and out. And the last 2 minutes of the game. So for me to fight for that, every time he put me in, I'd go hard as fuck. It's only 2 minutes. There's not much I could do in 2 minutes. But you best believe I'm running. I'm busting my ass. And if there's a guy that has the ball, I'm fucking flinging him. And I'm winning the ball. I'm going hard into the tackle. And if I get the ball on my feet, I'm completing a pass. Or I'm making sure that I'm making some type of crazy play to make something happen with the ball. And you know what happened? I went from 2 minutes to 10 minutes. And I kept doing it. And then he gave me 20 minutes. And then I became the second... I became the 12th man, as I call it. I'm the first one to get subbed in. I'm getting the most minutes out of all the subs. And then the following year, I actually started a bunch of games. Okay? So if I gave up and said, well, he didn't want me on the team and he's an asshole and he's a jackass and he doesn't know what he's talking about because, I'm good and I should be playing and he should see that. And I gave up and didn't try and just said it's pointless because he already doesn't rate me and he doesn't like me. Where the fuck would have that gotten me? Nowhere. And this is sort of my whole argument for Kobe Mainoo. Like, yeah, maybe it's not going your way. But that's why I don't agree with these people saying he should leave the football club. I think that's bullshit. He should not leave the football club. And actually, that's not the Manchester United way. You don't fucking quit. You don't give up. Okay? When your back's against the wall and you're in a corner and everything's against you, you stand up and you fucking fight and you earn your place and you earn your right. Okay? That's what United is. That's what United always has been. And that's what makes a United player. So all these people that tell Kobe Mainoo that if I was you, I would leave. Well, you're not him. And I don't even believe you that you would ask to leave if you were there in that situation. I don't believe you. I don't believe them. I don't believe them at all. I think that's bullshit. When I hear Scholes saying that he should leave, or Rio is saying it, or Neville is saying it, listen, you didn't have... You didn't have these problems. The team wasn't like this. United wasn't like this to a certain degree. And, for Scholes, I watched a few games the other day. You were still young, 98. You were still way on the younger side. You were fucking missing goals left and right in important matches that we need. You were blowing chances. I watched it yesterday. I just watched a bunch of matches yesterday that they had on Sky Sports. Okay? But Ferguson kept you in there. You didn't have to sort of deal with this to this level. And I think he'll persevere through it. I do. And Roy Keane went on to say, sometimes at Manchester United, the challenge is right in front of you. A footballer's life is about trying to prove to people that they're wrong. Bruno Fernandes might leave next summer. Wait your moment. I have no problem with players going out on loan. It can be beneficial for everyone. But sometimes, as a player, your biggest challenge is here at Manchester United, and it's about breaking into the team. Even if the manager says you won't get ahead of Bruno, prove him wrong. And to that, all I want to say is thank you, Roy Keane, because I think someone actually has to fucking say it. I think somebody actually needs to say it, and there's too many people that are not, you know, you want to talk about standards at this football club. Where are the standards that you're telling a fucking 20-year-old who is struggling to break into the team at this current moment in time, that the manager has put him a little bit lower down in the pecking order? You're telling a United Academy product to quit the football club. You want to talk about standards? You want to talk about having standards? Where are your fucking standards? You know, where are these people's standards? Where are they? Because you don't fucking have them. You don't have them. You're asking him to leave this football club. Where are your standards? Where are your United standards? Should we have done that when we won the treble in '99? Should we have rocked up to the Champions League match and said Bayern are way better than us and there's no chance we're going to win, so why should we even fucking try? Why should we even be here? You know, when we went down and we were losing, should the players have just said, fuck it, we already lost, they're way better than us, they've been dominating us, why are we even continuing to try? Why should we even continue to fight? You know, where are your standards? If you're telling and you're saying Kobe Mainoo should leave this football club, where are your standards? That's my question, because people want to talk a lot about standards at this football club, and I think a lot of it is nonsense and bullshit. Okay, because it's convenient for them to say the word standards. They don't even have standards. They don't even know what the standards are. They don't have it in them. They've forgotten what it is, and they make it up for when it best suits them. You know, to talk about it against the manager when they don't like the manager, and they say, where are the standards at this football club? Or they use it to talk about against, you know, INEOS or something, because they don't like Sir Jim Ratcliffe or whatever. So the standards. Where are your standards? Telling a 20-year-old top prospect kid, because he is having a one struggling season where it's not going his way and it's not his best season, telling him to leave this football club. Telling him to leave this football club, because that's really good. Because that means you really care about this football club, doesn't it? Why would you want a kid like that to leave this football club? Why wouldn't you want him to fucking figure it out, persevere, work through it, and come out the other end so that we both win? So that he has the career here and he helps us. Why would you want him to leave? Why would you want him to leave? Why would you care more about him than you do about the club? Because for me, him leaving is a massive loss. And I would not be in the camp. If I could talk to him, if I had influence of him, I would not be in the camp of telling him, you should leave. I wouldn't rule it out, but my first course of action would be to tell him, listen, it's not a great situation right now, but I believe in you, and I think you believe in yourself, and if that's the case, you should stay here and fight. I don't think it'll do you much damage if you stick around for at least another year or two, see how it goes. You know, and if it doesn't get better or it gets worse, then maybe go. But at the first signs of trouble, at the first sort of, you know, they're talking about 18 months. It wasn't here. Amorim wasn't here 18 months ago. He wasn't in charge. Kobe was playing. It's not fucking 18 months. It's not 18 months. He also got injured at some point when Ruben came in, and he was out for weeks. What is a ballin'? It's not a ballin', it's a bellend. Bellend. Google it. Google is your friend. Bellend. I'm sure they pronounce it differently than I do, but I'm American, so. And then the last thing that he said, which I totally agree with, and I will take Roy Keane's side 100% on this over Paul Scholes and whatever he said, because Roy Keane went on to say on Kobbie Mainoo, he is 20 years old. What's wrong with being patient and learning his trade? And even if he doesn't get his chance, we've all had to go through that. Sometimes a coach isn't convinced and you have to prove him wrong. Every day is an opportunity to prove yourself. And I totally 100% agree with Roy Keane. And I think that is the message that our ex-players and legends should be sending out to him. And that's why they piss me off. That's why Paul Scholes pisses me off when he says things like that. That's why Rio pisses me off and Gary Neville pisses me off. Because I think it's the wrong message. I think it's the wrong message. I don't like you putting that message out there in the public. It's like you're trying to publicly persuade him. If you actually give a fuck, I don't know, get a hold of his number or something, somehow, some way. You got some pull. You're a legend of the football club. I'm sure you could do that. But to feed the public, to feed into the public narrative, to piss people off even more, to come out and say, nah, he should definitely leave and he should go to Chelsea because look what we're doing to him. We're destroying him. We're destroying him. And it's a disgrace. And all you're doing is you're playing on the hearts of United fans that are already stressed out, worried, agitated, have lost patience over the last 12 years, and all you're doing is riling them up, and all you're doing is making them more pissed, and all you're doing is making them more fucking, you know, just psychotic. And what you're doing is you're causing a bigger divide. You're causing a bigger divide between the fans, the manager, and then the players. That's all you're doing. You're not helping the football club. You're making it worse. And Ruben can say, yeah, it's part of the football club. It comes with it. And sure, what else is he going to say? He has two options. He could say, fuck them, or he could say it's part of the football club. And obviously, the smart decision is to say it's part of the football club. But in actuality, when you break it down, they do massive damage when they do these things. They're fanning the flames. They're making the fire bigger. And I don't like that. You know, if you come out and you say something along the lines of Roy Keane publicly, I can respect that. I think it's a good thing to do publicly. And if you have an actual problem with it, like I said, then go get his number, get a hold of him, his mom, his dad, somebody, get his number, call him, and tell him how you fucking really feel. Privately. And advise him. Not going on Sky Sports or your little podcast that you have with some other guys to get a nice clip, to put it on the internet because, you know, it's not as big as the other ones and you need to get some interaction or something like that. I'm sorry, but this thing has really pissed me off, man. Because I think it's been blown out of proportion. And I'm sick and tired of it, dude. So, hopefully, hopefully it resolves itself out. And we don't have to talk about this. And everything could be okay. And I don't even need to do the whole thing where I say, haha, I told you so, you're wrong. Because that's also bullshit. Because you can't be right about everything. And you're definitely going to be wrong. But I just think it's been so blown out of proportion. And, you know, at first it was Marcus Rashford. And then it was another player. Now it's fucking Kobbie Mainoo. I mean, every time, you know. We get rid of Rashford in a way. And I'm like, okay, now we can focus on the team. And then this thing happens with Kobbie. And now it's just literally all Kobbie, you know. And before Rashford, it was fucking Harry Maguire. Like, I don't understand why we do this. But it's so annoying. It's so annoying. And the English media is a huge problem to it. You know, that it thoroughly pissed me off when I'm sitting there watching the manager doing a pre-match press conference for Bournemouth. And it's 15 minutes long. And they took 12 minutes of questions to ask him about Kobbie Mainoo. This isn't the Kobbie Mainoo show. This isn't the Kobbie Mainoo interview show. You're asking the manager questions about the next match at hand, and they want to ask 12 questions about Kobbie Mainoo, like they did for Harry Maguire. Where's Harry Maguire this, Harry Maguire that, Harry Maguire lost the captaincy, Harry Maguire's not in the team, are you going to put Harry Maguire back in? Rashford's not playing. What do you think about Rashford? Dude, like, listen, they're much better at it than me, because if I was the manager, the fans would be pissed at me. Everybody would be pissed at me, because at some point I'd sit there in front of the cameras and I'd tell them, shut the fuck up. If you ask me one more question, I ain't going to answer it. Find me, do whatever you want. I'm not answering these questions anymore. Ask me about the match, ask me about the tactics, whatever it is. But if you ask me one more question about this fucking player, I'm not answering it. I will get up and walk out of here. I am back. My Arsenal friend has gone home. And Eric, you are looking good on this 78-inch TV. I'm on the 78-inch TV. I'm not that good looking to be on a 78-inch TV. That's too big, man. That's too big. That's too big. I've made it. I'm officially on a 78-inch TV. I've made it in life. That's it. I can go out peacefully with a bang. The why that way money wages I'm getting rid of and allow manager Christopher Velo more broad to train. Richard says on the plus side Mason is playing well. Yes, please take me out of my rant because I've gone crazy. I've gone crazy. Richard, I've gone crazy. But yes, I mean, listen, Mount is playing well. It's good to see Mount playing well. It's good to see him staying fitter. Him and Luke Shaw. So those are pluses. And, again, I always think, and I always said this, like, back then when we had these discussions and people were like, well, maybe I'd sell Mount. I don't think he's good enough and this and that. And I was like, well, we need to see if he can get a run of games. Because I was like, if he could get a run of games, I think at the very least, he might not be a superstar, but I always felt like definitely he could definitely be important in some way to the team. He can be helpful. He can be useful. We just needed him to always stay fit. Now, he still, I don't think it's necessarily he struggles fitness-wise. I think they're just very precautious with him, and they're very safety-wise. Ruben and his people and, sort of whoever else that we changed in the medical back room and stuff like that, it's quite clear and obvious. The approach that they have taken is rather be safe than sorry. Where before we were taking massive risks on players and, we were suffering huge blows with them. Whereas now it's like, okay, there's Mount. We know, he struggled in the past. He's got a bit of a niggle or something like that. Let's not force it. Let's be a little bit safe. We would love Mason to start. Let's not start him today's game. We'll bring him on as a sub. We'll give him 30 minutes. We'll give him 40 minutes. He'll play a bit, but we won't overuse him. And that approach is paying off. It's paying off with him. It's paying off with Luke Shaw. It seemed like it was paying off with De Ligt and Maguire, but listen, Maguire's a bit older and he's only getting older, and it seems like it's a bit harder to manage him with that. And even De Ligt, and maybe we make some changes around these players, specifically De Ligt, and maybe we can, sort of nip that in the butt and not have him missing as much. Because again, like this is what I said last time, De Ligt's great and he's massively important. The only problem that I have with him is this is what happens, where he's in the team and all of a sudden, it's like, oh, he's not available for this match. And you're thinking he's out for one match, and then all of a sudden he's not available for the next 3 or 4 matches. And you're like, well, what the fuck has happened? Because initially when we were updated, it was like, oh, he just wasn't fit enough to make this match. Then next thing you know, it's like 3-4 weeks later and he's still not back. And you're like, dude, like, what happened to him? Like, we need him. We need him back. We need him back. So if we could figure that out, that would be great, because unfortunately, again, and I will say this for any player, one of the top qualities is being available. And if, if you get to a point where you're just constantly in and out and you can't be available for at least like 80% of the season, then, your talent isn't really useful to us, is it? It's not really useful to us, is it? So, there was a couple more things that I wanted to talk about. A couple more things here. We did the Roy Keane stuff. So just to close out the show, there was some updates surrounding the Glazers, which came from apparently the Mail Sport, some sort of a insider talking to the Mail Sport. I don't know who the source is, but I saved this for the end of the show because some people are, it's not the most exciting, but I do listen. Whoever did this story, I applaud them. And whoever, I guess, this insider person is, could be leaks from like Ed Woodward or something like that, because it kind of seems to put it in that perspective. But these things should be coming out more often, and they should be staying in the forefront of the stories, and they should be reported, because they're allowed to sneak off into the background, and everybody gets so tunnel visioned on the players or just the manager, or now they're, now it's all on INEOS, and they forget about the Glazers. But like when you read these things, it brings back like, you remember stuff going down. It also brings back up like the feelings, and it also puts it back fresh in your mind. So, a couple of these updates is that like Manchester, like number one, just bad thing here, but Manchester is one of the hosts for Euro 2028, but at City's Etihad Stadium, Old Trafford was not fit for the job. And, somebody in Manchester that works for Manchester United inside of Old Trafford said, "Why would you wish to hold a major international here?" Says one current United employee. "I walk around the place every day. It's out of date. Bits of it are falling down. The roof has had leaks. There are mice. It needs money spent on it, and has done for ages. I am a United fan, and I used to be proud to work here. Now I just feel embarrassed." And I feel like that quote just sums up basically the Glazers in a nutshell, because it's literally what they've done to our football club in every aspect. They are the reason why people like this feel like this. People that work there, people that go there to the matches and see it firsthand, they are solely responsible for this. They let this decay. They let it go out of date. They let bits of it fall down. They let the roof had leaks. They let there be a mice problem, which is disgusting and embarrassing. It is. It needed money spent on it. And it had to be done for ages, and they didn't fucking do it. And what they done is they fooled everybody into getting people in here. Now I think that this guy, I think he does for a personal ambition of his. I think it's sort of a win-win for him that if he does make Manchester United good again, it goes under his name. Yeah, so I think he does want it to be successful. I don't think it's necessarily all about money. I think money might be an aspect, and it's a plus. And so sort of when you look at it, it could be a win-win-win all around for INEOS, for Sir Jim, because if he could get United to win things like the Premier League or the Champions League, I mean, it's going to go under his name, isn't it? Okay? He can stand to make money from it. That's a win for him as well. But they bring these guys in here to make a new stadium. And they needed them to make this new stadium because the Glazers, public perception-wise, couldn't do it. And if you look at Sir Jim, he's British. He's English. He has English connections. He has English connections to people not only in the British media, but in Manchester. He knows these people. He knows the mayor of Manchester. He's a billionaire. He has a lot of influence. They needed this guy to come into this football club so that he can forefront the new project, so that the Glazers don't have to spend any of their money like they never do. Like they've never do, and they never will. So I think there was a lot of pluses in a lot of areas for a lot of them. The Glazers, to Jim Ratcliffe specifically, in a lot of different areas. I don't think, it's super cynical in terms of that they just sat there and said, how are we going to make the most money out of it? I think there was some personal things for Sir Jim, but I think that definitely could be one of the caveats. I mean, you stand to make money from it. It also tends to go in your name. And if it doesn't go well, I mean, he'll just fuck off anyway and leave. And it'll all go back to the Glazers, and people will sort of forget about Sir Jim because the Glazers will still be here. But the reason why I'm talking about the Glazers is because this Mail Sport article and this sort of source went in and actually started talking about and saying, on taking the big job, Ed Woodward had been led to believe that he would have at least a year to work with Sir Alex Ferguson. The Scot put him straight on that issue a few minutes into a lunch at Scott's in Mayfair. The source went on to say it was a horrific start, a source close to Woodward says now. So it was a close source to Woodward, so this is why it's... they said Ed may not even have taken the job had he known that was coming. 2 hours into that lunch, Fergie told him he was off, and he was floored by it. United insiders report that as United tried to steer a steady course post-Ferguson, that Woodward and Joel would speak 4 or 5 times a day, and it wasn't always about the football. And then they also went on to say, an inside source on the Glazers, the family are obsessed with money. Ding, ding, ding. I mean, everybody knows that. But they said the family are obsessed with money, so they would penny pinch like you wouldn't believe. We know about the INEOS redundancies and all the rest, but nobody cuts corners like the Glazers, and Ed couldn't do a thing without them wanting to know about it. We used to joke that he would call Joel in Florida every time a toilet roll needed replacing to check if it was okay to do so. At least we think it was a joke. I mean, they're not even sure if it was a joke. That's a bit concerning to me. I don't know how they said this. Tone matters. But yeah, I mean, I totally believe this. They're greedy bastards, and all they care about is money. All they ever cared about is money. They don't give a shit about this football club. They never have. They never will. They never will. It doesn't surprise me they penny pinch. It doesn't surprise me that, they say they penny pinch like you wouldn't believe. No, I believe it. I believe it. Whatever it is, I believe it. In fact, I think what I could come up with in my head is it would probably be pretty accurate to what's going on, because it would sound so unbelievably ridiculous, but I believe it because I know these people, not on a personal level, but I can read their character. I've looked into their business dealings. I've looked into their family. I looked into how they operate. I know what they are. I know what they kind of are on paper. There is a trail there to be seen. There is a trail there to look at, okay? I don't know what they're like behind closed doors. I don't know what they're like in person. I've never met them. But you can get some sort of an indication. And I'm pretty straightforward on it. I know these guys to a certain degree. And that doesn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me the very slightest if Ed Woodward actually did have to call Joel and be like, hey, can I change the toilet roll? It needs replacing. We need to spend some money on toilet paper. Do you think it's okay if we spend money on toilet paper? And Joel's there doing the numbers. Well, this might affect a little bit of our, our dividends here. I don't know. Maybe we don't have that. Maybe tell the employees at home. Maybe tell the employees to bring their own toilet paper until, next month's quarter is over or whatever, and the budget is reset or something. But I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But there was a couple bigger things than that, and that is that this goes on to say Joe Glazer, despite having no background in football, has often expressed firm ideas on the kind of player United should sign. Often the profile would be linked to the spread of social media engagement it would farm. Jose Mourinho's expressed desire to get rid of the dismal Anthony Martial, meanwhile, lost all momentum once the message reached Florida. Joel likes him, in quotation marks, is what Mourinho was told. I mean, I've talked about this many times. It was quite clear and obvious what they've been doing. It was all about social media engagement, commercialism. That's why I think, to us, it seems stupid. To us, from a football perspective, it seems stupid. It's stupid to sign that player for 80 million. It's stupid to give that player 250,000 a week. Yeah, but when you don't look at it from a football perspective, when you look at it from a social media engagement, when you look at it as an asset, when you look at it as, a piece of property or something, when you look at it from that aspect, it's not stupid. It's not. It's not. Because there's money to be made on it. So from that aspect, it's not stupid at all. And actually, what they did was very smart. Because like I've been saying, they inflated the price, they inflated the value of this football club like crazy. They got deals commercial-wise like crazy. Because it was all about social media engagement. It was all about selling the eyes that this football club attracts, this attention that it attracts to these brands. That's all it was. That's all it ever was. That's what they did. They were ready for it. They were preparing to do this. Sometimes I picture them. Sometimes I sit there and I picture these fucking guys sitting in a room, by themselves, Glazer families only, and they're sitting around the table, and they're just sitting there plotting since they bought the club. And they're like, listen, when this old fart Ferguson gets the fuck out of our way, we're going to take this club into a totally different direction. I see these guys sitting there plotting and planning, talking about as soon as this old geezer gets out of our fucking way because he's holding us back and we can't do anything while he's here. He's holding us back. As soon as he gets the fuck out of our way, we are going to take this football club into the total opposite direction and we're going to do whatever the fuck we want with it. And I think that's what they did. And I think that's what they were doing. I think when they bought it, they were sitting there and they were plotting and planning and waiting for Sir Alex to step aside because they couldn't do anything with Sir Alex there. Because they might have owned the club. They might have owned the club, but only on paper. Only by a bank statement. Only by, a contract or whatever you want to call it. But they didn't have the power. Fergie had the power. Because Fergie was the one that delivered for this football club. Fergie was the one that brought it to the ultimate level. Or back to the highest level. He was the one that held all the cards. He was the one that held all the power. And they couldn't do what they really wanted to do. Because one, Fergie would have never accepted that. Not to the level that they've done it, okay? You go back and you think about how hard Sir Alex Ferguson was on David Beckham, when David Beckham was basically sort of the first social media type player, and how he didn't like this aspect. He didn't like all that attention. He didn't like him doing these brand deals. He didn't like him being in commercials. He didn't like this shit. He wanted the player focused on football. And then you look at it, times it by 5, look at what the Glazers did. Look at what they did with the players. Look at what they did with the signings. E. Wood, who was he? I mean, Axe, you can't be, you gotta be joking me, right? Are you trolling me, or are you being serious? You don't know Ed Woodward. You don't know who Ed Woodward is. Who am I quoting now? Well, this is a story from the Mail Sport, Daily Mail Sport, and it is an insider, United insider of some sort. Somebody that was close to Ed Woodward of some sort. No, he was the redheaded guy with the round face. No. Well, I don't know if he's necessarily redhead, but he was our CEO. The one that took over for David Gill, the one that was there after Sir Alex Ferguson retired. He was the CEO. He was what Omar Barada is now. He's not necessarily redhead. But he was who the Glazers put in charge of this football club. He was the ex-vice chairman. No, ex-chief executive of Manchester United. Yeah. So that was the first guy. And then the other guy that they put in, obviously, after him, because they threw him under the bus, because the Glazers that's how the Glazers operate. They threw him under the bus, and then they bring in a guy named Richard Arnold, which is basically Ed Woodward 2.0. He's the same guy. He's an investment, a banker. Some people replace the B with a W. And yeah, they're the same. They don't know anything about football. They were put in charge to run the football club. They made all the bad decisions, footballing wise, and it was all commercial driven. Wasn't he a financial guy? Yes, he was a financial guy. He was only a financial guy. He was a banker. And some people would replace the B with a W. And I think both descriptions work. But yeah, I mean, listen, disgusting. You know, disgusting that you had a manager here. And the manager is saying, I want to get rid of this player. He's not proper for the team. He's not proper for the club. And, you know, this isn't any guy either. This is Jose Mourinho. He's won fucking, you know, the top things that you can win. He was a serial winner. Right? And he's saying, I want to get rid of this player. And they're playing the game of telephone, where it's going from Jose to that guy to Ed Woodward, and then it goes from Woodward. By the time it gets to Joel, who's in Florida, all Joel's got to say is, tell him I said I like him. And hang up the phone. Dude, if I was in charge as the manager, I couldn't even be professional about it. I wouldn't even be professional about it. I would call a press conference the same day, and I would go in the press conference, and I would never get hired again, because I would go in the press conference and I would go call a press conference and say, I wanted to sell Anthony Martial from this football club, and Joel Glazer, who knows nothing about football, has told me, or he hasn't even told me directly. I've been relayed a message. This is Joel likes him, and that's it. So effective immediately, I'm fucking resigning. Fuck this place. Fuck Joel. Keep your money. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Well, in terms of financial expansion and marketing development, he was really good. In terms of football, he was dog shit, yes. But the problem is, Axe, we don't really give a shit too much about financial expansion and marketing development if the football is going to suffer. And we are where we are now because it's never about the football. It hasn't been about the football. It hasn't been about the football since Sir Alex Ferguson left. That's the whole point. It's the whole point of why they put him there. That's the whole point of why we're in the position we're in now. You spend 12 years focusing about, you know, like you put it, financial expansion and marketing development, and you say, the football is not really important. What do you think happens? Where do you think we are? Why are we here? because of the path they set us down. Because they fucking ignored it. And they said, it doesn't matter. The football doesn't matter. We got the money. The money is here. The money is here. Financial expansion, social media, you know, brand deals. It's here. We don't need to win fucking Premier Leagues. Why would we invest all that money properly? Why do we need to operate like a proper football club? We can make a shit ton of money just doing it our own way. We don't need to win the Prem. Win the Prem sounds like a lot of work. Sounds super expensive as well. You're telling me that we constantly have to buy new players and then they age out and then we sell them and then we got to buy new players. Sounds very expensive. Sounds very not so good at money making, you know? I don't know about that. I think we should just sign a bunch of players with big names for high fees and then hold them at this football club so that we don't have to write them off on the books. We'll inflate the club value, and then we'll also use that as the publicity, and we'll sell it to all the brand deals. And we'll be like, look, this one player gets more views than your entire brand has gone on every, marketing campaign you've ever spent on. With one post, we can get you more views than you've ever gotten in your whole history's existence of a company. Do a deal with us, give us money, and, partner with us. And we'll get you a shit ton of views. I know they are highly unhealthy, but you know what? I bought them and I have to finish them because I wasted money on them. So, I'm sorry. Richard says, so here's an exclusive. I know for a fact Sir Alex Ferguson did not like the Glazers as people. Though when he left, he thought the football days were gone and it was no longer about football. Well, yeah, I listen, I don't think he liked him either. Now, some people blame him for enabling the Glazers because he made some statements. In some people's opinion, they're like, why didn't he ever come out and fucking, talk about them? Listen, or against them. And I think maybe initially he looked at it one way and he thought maybe it could be good because it could expand United in a certain way. And to a certain degree, like, what Axe said in terms of like, financial expansion and marketing development and stuff like that, they did actually do very well. But when you look at how they've done the other aspects in terms of neglecting it, well, then it doesn't really balance itself out, really. I mean, if you did as well as they did in these other areas financially, but they also took care of the football side properly, like don't let Old Trafford decay and rot. Don't put us in a situation where there's literally fucking holes in the roof and it pissing down rain like it's Niagara Falls and embarrass us and embarrass our football club. Actually build teams to actually win things and stay good and, not destroy like our whole ethos and our whole, identity as a football club for the sake of making money. If there was a good mix, then sure. But, it's not a good mix. It's heavily, it's like 99%, 99% just all financial, all marketing, all, social media campaigns, all branding. It's all about that. So I think maybe Fergie thought that, what, we'll give him a chance. Maybe it won't be bad. Maybe it'll be good for the club. These guys, could do something. And I think as time went on, I think he realized that, that these guys are not doing the best thing for the football club in terms of football. And, but I think he also never just chose to speak about it because I think while he was at the job, I think he decided to keep it professional in terms of that. I kind of feel like he kind of looked at it and was like, there's no point. I think he understood the situation and that they've had that the way they came in and they took the club, they had it by the balls. And I think even him coming out and saying things about it, you know, as bad as the fans might get, and as much as he might be able to rile them up, I don't think he would get them out. You know, these guys are like, they're sort of like a pit bull in a certain sense. You know, if a pit bull grabs onto you with the teeth and the jaws that it has, good luck fucking getting that thing out. Good luck getting that out, because you're not. You're not. Unless it decides to let go. You know what I mean? And it's choice. Or you gotta, unfortunately, this is a bit fucked up, but you gotta do something to that dog. And I'm talking about like physical. You gotta kick that dog or something. You gotta hurt it, you gotta scare it away or something. But usually, listen, if that dog bites onto you, good luck trying to fucking free yourself from it, because it ain't letting go. Unless it chooses to. And I think that's what they are. They're like that. Like, once they got a hold of this club, I think it's like, good luck getting them out until they choose to go. And there's one more update, and we'll get out of here because it's late now. So, just one last thing about this update about the Glazers. And that is that the Glazers' obsession with with small details made the life of one staffer, this sort of made me laugh, a misery on a Van Gaal summer tour of America in 2014. Having announced that they would join the tour in Detroit, family members insisted a short notice on having a specific kind of bed linen in their hotel rooms. I mean, it's like, I don't know what that was all about. I mean, okay. Listen, they're billionaire, they're super rich, snobby, greedy assholes, and they demand bed linen, special bed linens. Like, you know, are you surprised by that? I'm sure they demand all types of shit, and they want it now. You know. But I don't know why that one was in sort of the Daily Mail, because it's just like, oh, you know, big deal. But I'm just looking to see if there was any other news that sort of popped up while we're here that I do need to cover or not. So, and then I'll get to the chat and we'll close out the show. But I don't see anything here, so I don't see anything here. So I think we've covered everything. What were you guys saying? To be honest, only Mourinho had the character to do that, yet he didn't. Nobody's going to do it. The big problem is that nobody's going to do it, because maybe they actually can't do it. You know, listen, it's one thing for me to say that while I stand here, but it's another thing if you have legal implications, okay? When you sign that contract to the club, I don't know what's in that contract. We don't know what's in that contract. They could be, you know, in that contract, they could put like, they'll sue the shit out of you, you know. Do I want to get sued? I'm not fucking risking that. You know, who knows what they put in there? I wouldn't give them, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they put all sorts of sort of greedy ass shit in that contract that would be detrimental to anybody sort of speaking out. You know, these guys don't like people speaking out. They don't like the media. They only like the media when they need to use it, and they use it in a shadowy way as well. It's not like they come out and they say shit. They will just use their sources, or, you know, their some of their friends or influence in the media to get shit out when they need it. They don't make direct statements. They don't like news coverage about them. They don't want news coverage about them. And I'm sure they put some probably insane, you know, NDAs and shit like that. You'll lose all the money that you're guaranteed to get, for sure. So that's another thing, because I mean, listen, some people might say fuck the money, but some people won't. And you might stand to lose a lot of other things, or you might suffer some serious consequences out of it, which stops people from doing such a thing. So, you know, and Axis, I agree, football first. This is the problem that we have. And This is why I've been trying to sort of give INEOS sort of a I've been trying to give INEOS sort of the opportunity and the chance, because while obviously I think Sajim is a little bit like the Glazers in terms of that he is a business guy, and I don't think he really knows all that much about the sport in terms of like how much of a dedicated fan could you possibly be as a billionaire. One thing is that number one, he is English. So at least like part of the culture in England is football, okay? Like the Glazers, it's not football. It's American football at the very least. So to that, I lean a little bit in that camp more. I'm like, well, it's got to be better than them for sure in that aspect. But even so, I look at it and I say, well, look at the guys that they hired as CEOs. You know, it was Richard Arnold, their mate, or he was an insider, he was a finance guy, but Ed Woodward was their mate. They went to the same college together. Him and the Glazers went to the same college in the UK together. They were friends. And he's an investment and a banker, and they put him in charge. And Richard Arnold was an investor and a banker, and they put him in charge. And while Sir Jim might be a billionaire, you know, business guy that does petrochemicals, I mean, at least Omar was at City and he has some sort of a football background in that operation. At least Jason Wilcox has a football background. At least Christopher Vavell has a football background. So, you know, this is why I'm trying to be a little bit lenient with them and hopeful, because I'm like, well, at least we have some football guys in there. Maybe we can do something with these guys there. Maybe we can actually stand a bit of a chance with some of these football guys compared to what the fuck was going on before, when we literally had investment and bankers running this shit. And I think even to the fact, I think even like part of me feels like part of Sir Jim's pitch to them, it definitely had to be something about making more money. And I think maybe it could have even been far as, listen, you've neglected the football too much. You need to be more successful on the pitch and you will make more money. And maybe he pitched that to them, and maybe they like that, and they'd be like, well, listen, we don't really know how to fucking do any of that, and we'll give it to you. And if you think you can do that, then go right ahead. And I think that was probably part of the pitch that he gave to them. It was like, and that's why he's taken over the football side, because that was part of the pitch to them. But I always sort of think, and I'm like, well, I don't know. We'll never know how it could have went the other way, but I don't trust these guys, these Glazers, and I'm just like, dude, these guys are dirty, greedy bastards. And I was like, it could always be way worse. You know, if it's not Sir Jim and these guys that are here now, it could have been some, you know, there was venture capitalist companies from America. The fuck do they know about football? Those guys are the worst. Nobody likes venture capitalists except for the venture capitalists themselves. Literally everybody. You know, I know people in finance. They despise these fucking venture capitalist people. They're vultures, they call them. They are like literally despised all over the place. They you know, these aren't nice people. They're not nice organizations. They are essentially just pure greed organizations. We could have had one of those right now. The Glazers could have done a deal with one of those and just kept doing what they're doing. So ultimately, obviously, I want them to leave, but if I'm manager and bringing Ugarte, Bruno don't need them. I'm binning Ugarte and Bruno. Lucky, you're wrong about Bruno Fernandes. I'm just going to say this. You're wrong about Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes is one of our hardest working players at this football club. Whether he plays good or he plays bad is a different topic. He can have good games, he could have shit games. This guy, regardless if he's having a good game or a shit game, he gives 100%. Always. And that is one thing that I will stand behind him forever. He gives everything that he can in this United kit, and I respect him for that. So, you keep saying we need to get rid of Bruno and we need to bin him. No, only for the money. Only for the money, and only if it's good enough money, and it has to make sense. Like I said, I'm not kicking Bruno out because I think he's shit. I'm not kicking Bruno out because I think he has a bad attitude. I'm not kicking Bruno out because he made some comments the other day or whatever it is. He did an interview because he did an interview with Rio Ferdinand, and it was a bit of a different tone than the one that he did to Portugal. And I think he needed to maybe get that out of his head, and he had to move past it. And he did that back in November, and we're in the mid-December. So the only thing that makes sense for me is if Saudi Arabia come, he does have a buyout clause, but if we were to get offered 80 million, 100 million, that's, you know, some substantial fee that we could use to rebuild the club. I take it, but not doing it in January. The time to do it was in the summer. We didn't do it. We now wait till next summer. We complete the season with him. And then if it comes down to that, we do it then. If not, he stays here and we continue on with him. One or the other. Do you mean I'll talk if I'll be in big trouble, big trouble? Well, no. He was, when Mourinho said that, he was talking about like the referees and VAR and stuff like that. So, you still look good on the 78-inch TV. I told my Texan wife you were Ruben Amorim and you talked to fans on Thursday night. Did she believe you? You know, some teams did both of them, like Real Madrid and Barca, but we should have stick to football. No, I mean, listen, listen, you could definitely do both. You should do both. I agree. I think, listen, I'm not always against the business side, but for me, I truly believe everything in life, there needs to be some sort of a balance. And once it's unbalanced one way or another, it ends up fucked up. You know, it does. It's like, you know, listen, if you sort of enjoy sweets, for example, or candy, yeah, and, you know, candy's not really good for you, but if you're like, I can't touch any candy, and I'm never allowed to have candy ever, like not one piece, and you go like 30 years without having a piece of candy, but you're fucking miserable for it, well, it's not really worth it, is it? To a certain extent. But then also the other way, it's like, if you actually like candy and you're eating a shit ton of it, yeah, you're gonna get sick from it, and you might enjoy it in the short term, but in the long term, it's really gonna fuck you up. So you need a balance for it. He wanted to end on a high, and I don't blame him. Yeah. Regardless, it would have started a revolution of the axe right there. It would have become the revolution of Mourinho, but he kept quiet. See what I mean? Follow me, everyone. We'll take over Man Utd. Nah, I mean, listen, there's been so many people. Nobody does it. I think there's probably a reason for it. It cannot be that there's been all these people. You're talking about Sir Alex. You're talking about Jose Mourinho. You're talking about all these other guys. You know, they don't come out and hit them. I don't think they can. I think they legally cannot actually mention them publicly. Because even somebody like Van Gaal, where he says, like, you know, the club is a commercial joke or something like that, but you don't hear them say the Glazers. You never hear them actually say the name. They actually don't act. It's like they actually can't go that far. To me, it's something weird that you have all these guys and not one of them can say it. And some of them have some big balls. You know what I mean? It just seems very strange. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's sort of a pattern. After a certain amount of examples, the same thing starts happening. To me, it can't be a coincidence. Coincidence is maybe like a once weird thing happened and it never happens again. But when I look and you're talking about 4, 5, 6 different guys and nobody does it, it's a pattern and it's weird. And it's weird because it's like you would think maybe one of them would actually do it. You know, even to the extent of like Ronaldo, when he did the interview, I might be mistaken, but he says words like, you know, owners, or he didn't even say directly. He said just like, you know, like a lot of these things at Manchester United haven't been taken care of or haven't been changed, which alludes to the owners, but he didn't say the Glazers. He didn't say Joel. He didn't say Avram. He doesn't call them out by name. I find it's very strange that happens. Capitalism killed Man United. Well, I don't know about capitalism. It's not specifically capitalism. It's the people that use capitalism. You could use capitalism to do good things, right? It's like almost anything else in the world. There are tools to use and create things. It all depends on how you use them. You could use them for bad and evil things. You could use it to be good and make good things happen. That's just what it is. You know, it's like a vehicle. You know, I don't want to do like a gun talk, but I'll go as far as a vehicle. Yeah, a vehicle. You can listen. A vehicle can be good. Get you from place to place. Could get you to work. You make money. It's easier transportation. It's, you know, helpful to society. But a vehicle can also be a bad thing if somebody gets behind it and decides that they want to get behind the wheel and go and run a bunch of people over on the sidewalk or something. Okay, so, you know, is it the car's fault? No. For me, is it capitalism? Not really. There's many good things that can happen in capitalism, but it depends what you're using capitalism and how you use it. The person behind the tool of capitalism. It's the person behind the car. What is their intentions? How are they using it? And what are they using it for? Put PSG guy on recruitment officer. Well, I would definitely love him, but I don't think we're ever going to get him. So unless he decides to leave, but yes, he is very brilliant. I forgot his name, the Portuguese guy over there. I forgot his name. So, yes, she thinks I am talking to Manchester United. I am the Manchester United man, absolutely. And listen, wife of Richard. Rich is not going to be around on Sunday because I'm going to need him to come with me, and he's going to have to help me. I need an assistant manager. My assistant manager is under the weather. I need him to fill in for me on Sunday. We got a big game against Aston Villa, and I need his experience and expertise because I'm very young and, you know, I'm inexperienced. I've only been a manager for about 6 years, and you know, I'm a young guy, so I need Richard's expertise and experience. So I'm gonna need him to come down to Villa Park with me and help me out in this match. Yeah, now that I think about it, has any of our managers ever mentioned them publicly? No. Not that I could think of. We might be wrong, but off the top of my head, I can't remember them actually naming them by name. And I think there's a reason for that. Because it's the people of who they are. They don't want that. They don't like their name being mentioned in public. They never do. You know, they don't really want to be talked about. They don't really want stories to come out about them. They don't want these sorts of things. They have tools to sort of control this. Now, something like this, unfortunately, it got buried by all the news. Really, you know, this came out, a lot of it is old and a lot of it is a bit sort of like we already knew this, you know, and it's you know, from the past, so it didn't really explode. But I mean, with the amount of news that came out today, that got absolutely buried. Nobody's talking about that. Everybody's talking about two midfielders, Semenyo, this and that. I don't believe you can use capitalism to do many good things. Maybe it has happened to you, then I am glad. But in capitalism, people like the Glazers thrive and flourish. Working class people don't. Well, I don't believe in communism or socialism, so. That's not my thing. That's not my country's thing either, so. I will not run down capitalism. I know capitalists who have done amazing things. I mean, listen, I think it's probably I think it's the better system. It's the one that's been around for a while, or the longest. But yeah, I mean, we don't have to get into full discussion about it. Richard the Timeless Hawk, eternal assistant of Manchester United. Well, listen, we need him in there. And then, while we're at it, we'll get him some tickets to the match, so he doesn't have to keep paying for all these tickets to go watch us, because we've lost a couple times when he's gone there. We haven't given him much joy. Sometimes he spends too much money for us not to win. So we got to give him a couple free tickets. And in fact, if I bring him in as assistant manager, then he can't necessarily be mad at us if we lose, because he'll be part of it. So he'll be part of it. So he's got to be mad at himself. He can't be mad at us. That's Glazonomics 101 right there. Glazonomics 101 right there. We'll bring Richard in. He gets to watch the match, but he's also part of the assistant managing team. And if we lose the match, then he can't be pissed about us losing the games and him spending money. We've bought him. We've bought him. We've bought him. We've bought Richard. We've bought him in. Yeah, we don't need to discuss politics. Yeah. Well, listen, there's always a place and a time, but I always this is why I try to keep it out of here, because it's football, and I don't listen. Even football has tried to do some political stuff, and whether I agree with the politicalness of it or not, I think it's totally wrong. I just don't believe it belongs in there. I don't believe it belongs in there. I've always tried to have my sports separate from politics. I don't think they should mix. I've always saw sport as, something for working class people, and, I think sport is always a thing where for a bit of time, an hour, 2 hours a day, it is sort of like a place where it can provide relief of hardships from the real world. It is a place where at least for 2 hours at a time, you can sort of forget, maybe some problems going on in your life, or the struggles of real life for just a couple hours, and you can sort of just live in the moment and try to enjoy something. And I feel like when people or organizations or entities try to drag politics into the sport, I'm like, no. You guys are already everywhere, man. You're already in almost every aspect of life, especially in today's time. Everything is fucking politicized now. And it's like, dude, let us keep one thing somewhere where it's not there, okay? And for me, football, specifically, that's the sport that I love the most and will always love the most. And it's like, I don't want my sport to become a thing like that. I don't. Because I think once that happens, I think it's fucking ruined. And they've tried it to a certain degree, and I don't think it's gone over too well. And I think they're sort of a bit backing off from it now, which is good. They should. Because I think it does a disservice. I think it actually, what it does is, instead of having people come together to unite, where they don't have to focus on let's say race or religion or something like that, because there's all different types of creeds of people from different places that come to support a team, and then when you put a political issue in the middle of it, you're dividing everybody instead of them coming together. Because let's just say, for example, we're all Manchester United fans, so these other issues might divide us, might cause us to hate each other, might cause us to despise each other and not get along. But at the end of the day, we all get to forget that, because we say we just want Manchester United to win. We want 3 points. We want to be entertained, and we want to be the best. And that's all we really give a shit about. So, yeah. I still want to get RDE merch sorted. If you don't do it, I will. Well, if I was to do it, it would have to be in the summer, so I could get it done. I might make a couple. Maybe I'll make a couple pieces. Limited, very limited amount, like super limited amount pieces. Like I'm talking about maybe one of ones, and there's maybe 5 different pieces, all one of ones. The problem is I don't know what sizes you guys wear, so that would be the problem of making a one-on-one. Because I can make a couple things. I know a guy that's part of the family that can literally, I mean, he can make a design for me. I can make my own design, but he can literally print up all the things for me. But I'd like to do these things in person. So it would have to be the summer when I go to Malta. But I could definitely get it done. We'll see. I will look into it. I promise. And I will get it. I will get something. I'm not going to make a lot. I don't think there's a need for a pre-order of some sort because, again, we don't have many viewers. And we're still a small channel. So I don't think we need that. But what I could do is something like sort of special. Especially for you guys. For the people that want it, I'll make it special. I'll make it to the point of where it's like, there's only one of these. And this is like you guys sort of, earn this sort of thing where there's only one of these. And you get to have it. And we'll never make them again. And it's sort of a thank you and sort of a special thing as to you guys being these people that have been here in the days where the channel only has 10 live viewers at a time. Or 15 or whatever it is. So, Eric, I will be your new doorman. Eric, what does Chelsea do next? What does Chelsea do next? Well, I mean, listen, there's been talks that Maresca might get poached by City. Because Pep might actually be leaving and City are looking for a new manager and they might try to poach Maresca out of there. I think that's a bit far-fetched right now because they're trying to use his last quotes. I think it's a bit nonsense, but what do Chelsea do next? I think Chelsea are going to keep doing what they usually do, which is just spend a shit ton more money and just keep throwing money at it till they end up winning a season, and then they'll do it all over again like they usually do. It's a shame you don't want to become my comrade. Okay. No, none of that for me. It has already become ruined by politics. Only in capitalism, people like Glazers can destroy a club like ours, but okay, we have different views. Eric, you can do it with the print on demand, all sizes. I can. The thing is, I have somebody that can do all the print-ons for me. So, well, all right. I know there's a way to do this. There's a way to do this. I will make a couple designs, yeah? Not in the next, it's going to have to be later down the road, a few months from now. And I'll work on them little by little over time. So, I'm not going to promise like it's going to be like, by next month or anything. I will take my time on this, but I will look into making a couple different designs. And then what I can do is sort of, we can either have like, I don't know if I want to necessarily do a bid for the design. I mean, I'd have to figure it out, but something sort of along that way, maybe a raffle of some sort or something, or, if somebody picks whichever one they want, I'll make a sort of a one-of-one design, a couple different ones. And then it'll be only on the design, and then I'll see if I can get my family member that does this, if I could see if I could get him to make it for me. I'll obviously pay for them, and then I'll see if we could get them shipped out from there to you guys for whoever wants it, and we'll see how that goes. But I'll have to work out a bunch of details, but we could do I could do something like that. Chelsea do what they do. Do you think Roman Abramovich can come back to Chelsea? No. I don't think he can because I don't think England would let him with the way things still are. And also, I don't know if he has, just the other day, like, for example, Per Starmer, who is, in charge of the UK, the Prime Minister, warned Roman Abramovich that the clock is ticking for him to donate the proceeds from the sale of Chelsea to Ukraine. So yeah, I mean, that's obviously quite highly political, like we just talked about. He was ousted because he's Russian, and England has a stance against Russia. And it was all politics. I mean, the only reason why Abramovich isn't there is it's all politics, which again I still think is a shame. And I don't know. They might have had their reasons for it. Maybe they were valid, but I still just think it's fucking. Just like, bro, that guy, in terms of being a football owner, for what he did for Chelsea, I was like, to get kicked out like that because of some geopolitical shit going on. I'm just like, I didn't really. I kind of felt like it was a bit fucked up, to be quite honest. But yeah, I don't think he's never listen. He's never allowed back in. They're never gonna allow him back in. He's totally out. As far as England is concerned, he's totally out. Then they'll never let him back in. So, our idiot prime minister. Well, listen, I don't want to. I have some thoughts and opinions about him, but. Eric, I want to walk around Belfast with your logo next year. Plus, next year before I die. Plus, at some age, plus at some stage, it will be at Old Trafford. Well, I'll try to get it to you before that happens. So you gotta stick around. Yeah, if that's the key that I make you stick around, you gotta hold out for that then, because you're not allowed to go on us yet. You gotta stick around for as long as possible. You're not allowed to go on us, Richard. You're not allowed to go on us. You got to stay with us for as long as possible. So, you're not giving me good reasons to rush it, Richard. You're not. I'm just joking. Yeah, Stalmer. Yeah. Good night. Glazes out, says Axe. Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm gonna get off too because we've been long. I always want to do an hour and a half shows, and I end up doing 2 hours and 45 minutes, 3 hours. So, I really need to stop doing this. I really need to stop doing this. I really need to cut the shows to an hour and a half, and I'm gonna start doing it. But I'm really bad at it. So, my pajamas are red, so are the Reds of Man United. So are the colors. That is the color of socialism. Not in my country, it's not. I got red pajamas too, though. I don't know if you could see them. I got red pajamas too, Axe. But red is not the color of socialism. Not in my country, it isn't. Not in my country, it isn't. I like Channel. I like you. We like you, Lucky. Just don't spam too much. Pick up channel flexibility about football. Well, listen, I think at some point I might do a second side channel, so that we could talk maybe some other things. But I got a lot going on right now. I got a lot of things that I need to be doing other than this. So it's not the time. Timing is important, and I have some big major things that I need to work out for myself. So that has to come first, and I'm juggling this, so it's quite a lot. And another 1 or 2 things is going to end up popping up, and it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. So I can only do so much on one guy. You know what I mean? Yeah, it used to be the opposite. You're right. It used to be the opposite. Good night, and Glazes out, says Axe. Yeah, good night. Good night. And as far as where we are, make sure you hit the like button if you didn't on the way out, guys. Please and thank you. But I think See, Saturdays aren't necessarily that great because there is football, but it's sort of a Saturday. So like, actually, you know what? You know what? Let's do it this way. So tomorrow we will go live. Okay. I think I'm gonna do this. Tomorrow we will go live. Tomorrow we will do 8 p.m. UK, like we've been doing, 8:10 UK. Tomorrow, right? And then Saturday and Saturday we won't go live because we got to do Sunday because our match is on Sunday, and we got to do at least, if we're not doing the watch along, which I haven't decided yet, but if we're not doing it, then we'll do the Red Devil recap after, for sure. And I'll let you guys know sort of tomorrow about the watch along for Saturday. But we'll do Friday. We'll do Friday, which is tomorrow, 8 p.m. UK. We'll go live. We'll do a little bit of a preview for the Villa, and we'll discuss any other sort of topical things for the day. And then Saturday we won't go live because Saturday is just, it's a bit, I find it a bit sort of hard to do it in terms of, you know, people want to watch the football. There's 2 games at 8 p.m. and they're not our games, but like I enjoy watching the football as well. And then obviously I can't watch the games while I'm doing the show, and I'm not going to do like a hate along on a United channel for, you know, other teams. I think you need a separate sort of channel for that, in my opinion. I just don't want to put that content on my United channel. So yeah, I think what's best is we go live tomorrow. We do a preview for the Villa match. We do whatever comes out tomorrow. News-wise, topical-wise, I also have, you know, a couple things that I might pop up and surprise. Couple little surprises, pictures, images, some videos. Well, pictures and images are the same, yeah. Images, maybe like a video clip or two that I'll throw up on the stream. Sort of throwbacks. I'll get that in there, and then yeah, and then we'll take Saturday off, and then Sunday, you know, we'll be live for the Villa match. So that's about it, and then we'll go back live Monday, the day after Sunday, after the match, because those days tend to be quite good, and yeah, and then we'll go from there. So, you know, everybody take care. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for smashing the like button for those of you that did. If you didn't, please get that done. Do greatly appreciate it. It does help the channel out. And, you know, it helps get more Reds to see this, and we do get pushed out there more. So, but other than that, take care, and we'll see each other tomorrow, 8 p.m. UK. Be there. Make sure you're there. Try and get there as early as possible. It does make a huge difference. It does. It makes a huge difference. It helps the video and the channel get pushed out there more. The earlier you're in there, the more you're commenting right away. The earlier you hit the like button, it makes a massive difference. I know some people that maybe don't like, you know, get that or understand that, but it really does. Like, that's just the algorithm. YouTube, they like this thing, they like that thing. You know, early comments, early likes, it makes a massive difference. So it hypes up the video. Also, I've seen something like, if you do have the time, after I end the video, the live, if you go back onto it, maybe like 10 minutes later, if you click on it, I've noticed that they've added something. I don't know if it's on the PC version, but on the mobile version, there's something that if you scroll in the bottom, like the little, like, you know, where you have the like button and stuff like that, and you have all these like little buttons, there's something that says hype after I end it. If you could hit hype as well, that's important as well, because you're hyping up the video, you're hyping up the live. That's sort of like a new feature they added too, so that would be good. But other than that, thank you. Richard says, thanks everyone. Stay safe. You too, buddy. Stay safe. Be good. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a good night and enjoy. Thank you for being here and supporting.